Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Went to One Piece World and Joins Monkey D. Luffy Team Part 1. Before we start, please go support KingJoka for writing that awesome fanfic. Chapter 1. It had been about 2 weeks since Midoriya had gone missing and his classmates were still feeling down. Bakugo, who strongly and violently denied these accusations, and Uraraka were arguably the most upset. The dorms just weren't the same without everyone's favorite fanboy. Uraraka opens her eyes to a cold winter morning and greets it with a deep sigh. Heater must still be broken, she thought to herself while shivering. After slipping into some warmer casual clothes, she made her way to the lounge room for breakfast. Everyone except Yaoi Rozu, Tsuyu and obviously Deku were eating breakfast on a couch or chair. Morning everyone, Uraraka yawned out. Most of them responded back with morning, while the rest's faces were stuffed full with food. A few seconds after Uraraka sat down, Yaoi Rozu walked in as well. Good morning everyone, Yaoi Rozu greeted. Again the same greeting as with Uraraka. After looking around, Yaoi Rozu asked, is Tsuyu-chan still in her room? Yeah, Mina answered, she has to keep herself warm while the heater's broken, otherwise she'll go into hibernation. Oh, so that's why she hasn't been showing up to class, Kaminari said. Yep, Mina replied, why do you think she stays in her room all day? I just thought that, you know that Kaminari has a serious face which is rare for him, that she might have blamed herself for the incident. Everyone turns to him. Kaminari yells Shoji from one of his tentacles. I know, I'm sorry. I just don't want her feeling like it was just her fault. Everyone calmed down after hearing him say that. We all know we could have done something too, he says. After a minute of silence, Bakugo stood up and started walking to the kitchen. Where you heading, Bakubro? Asked Kirishima. Coffee, Bakugo emotionlessly replied. That reminds me, Uraraka said, picking up a plate of food, I should probably go take Tsuyu some breakfast. I'll come too, says Tokoyami. While walking down the hall, they both flash back to the day Midoriya disappeared. Flashback. Bakugo, Uraraka, Tokoyami, Tsuyu and Midoriya were separated from the rest of their class after being ambushed by the League of Villains. It's been a while, Midoriya Izuku, says the man known as Shigaraki Tamura. Shigaraki Tamura, what do you want? Izuku asks with a steely gaze. I've had enough of one for all, and I need to get rid of you before you become an even bigger thorn in my side. The others except Bakugo didn't know what he was talking about, but Midoriya understood that Tamura knew his secret. Kurogiri, yes sir, replied a black mass. Toga, yeah Tamura, replied the blonde psychopath. Let's begin, Tamura said while taking the hand off his face and revealing a terrifying grin. Tamura made a dash for Tokoyami and reached out his hand. Midoriya shot an air bullet using his gauntlets, which made Tamura step back a bit. Midoriya felt two sharp pains, one syringe in his arm and another syringe full of something in his neck. He turned around to find Toga. Sorry Izuku-kun. I just want a little blood to remember you by, Toga said with a sorta depressed look on her face. With one syringe she drew blood and with the other she injected Midoriya with something. After Midoriya lets out a scream of pain, Tokoyami and Uraraka rush to his aid, while Bakugo defends an injured Tsuyu from Twice. Just give up already. You can do it, Twice contradicts. This bastard's pissing me off, yells Bakugo. Because Tokoyami and Uraraka were distracted by Toga, only Midoriya noticed that Tamura had gotten behind Tsuyu. Without thinking, Midoriya rushed in to save her. Unfortunately, it was a feint and Tamura grabbed Midoriya by the arm. So long hero, Tamura said with a psychotic smile as he threw Midoriya over his shoulder and into Kurogiri. In the few seconds while Midoriya was in the air, he saw the shocked faces of his friends that were reaching. Subconsciously, Midoriya smiled with tears in his eyes while saying, sorry guys. Kurogiri closed the portal as soon as Midoriya fell in. His friends just stood there in silence, unable to comprehend what just happened. Twice, check the scanner, Tamura ordered. Oh no, I'm not picking up anything. It worked, he's gone, Twice contradicts. Ahahaha. The drug worked, he's not even on the planet anymore, One for All is finally gone, Tamura laughed maniacally while grinning. Let's go, the mission's complete, he said. As the villains disappeared, the others slowly realized what happened. He's gone. Uraraka said while tears started forming in her eyes. This is my fault, Tsuyu said with tears in her eyes. Tokoyami was just standing refusing to believe what he just saw. Bakugo, remembering the training camp and the sludge monster incident, only utters out 3 words. Damn it all. End of flashback. Uraraka and Tokoyami reach Tsuyu's room and take a second to calm themselves before entering. Good morning Tsuyu. We brought you breakfast. Tsuyu was lying in her bed with her bottom half covered under 3 blankets and her top half covered in 2 PJ shirts. Ah, Achako-chan and Tokoyami-kun. Thanks for doing this for me. Don't mention it. It's the least we could do for a friend. Says Tokoyami. Tsuyu takes the plate from Uraraka and starts eating. Using this time as an opening, Uraraka decides to ask Tsuyu a question. Tsuyu, do you still feel guilty about what happened? Tsuyu stopped as she was about to take a bite. Tokoyami was a little surprised to hear this from Uraraka, but he understood her concern for her friend. Tsuyu just kept staring at her fork and spoke with her usual monotone expression. How can I not feel guilty? Tsuyu Ichako, he's gone because he protected me. I can't help but feel that it's my fault. Tears started forming from her eyes. I wish I could have done something. If only I'd done something. Then he'd Tsuyu, stop putting so much blame on yourself Ichako. It wasn't your fault. If anything, it was everyone's fault. We all could have done something to prevent this. She's right. We left you unguarded even though you were injured. Midoriya just stepped in to fill the role we neglected. We are the ones at fault here. Tokoyami Tsuyu, we all feel the same way you do, so stop putting so much guilt on yourself. And please, she started to cry a bit. There's still a chance he's alive, so stop talking like he's dead. Tsuyu, realizing how hard this must have been for Ichako, put her hand on Ichako's shoulder and gave her version of a smile. Sorry Ichako. I know this is probably harder on you than it is for me. Ichako simply smiled back and gave Tsuyu a hug. Tokoyami just smiled at the sight. Uraraka, Tokoyami, hurry and get ready before we're late. They instantly recognized the voice as their hand-shuffling class president. Sorry Tsuyu, we'll be back after school, it's fine. See you two later. See you Asui. Tokoyami and Uraraka go to their rooms, get dressed and follow the others to school. The day proceeded as it did for the past 2 weeks, quiet and lacking any excitement. Some of the teachers were actually looking for Midoriya, so classes were mainly managed by Aizawa, Present Mick and All Might. Aizawa was the same as usual on the outside, but even he couldn't help but worry. Present Mick tried cheering the kids up with his antics, but, as per usual, he got no responses. All Might didn't even try and hide his worry. His skeleton face gave it away easily. The school day ended as quickly as it began. As they were headed for their dorms, they were greeted by Itsuka Kendo. Kendo-chan. Momo greeted, is there something you needed? Yo Momo. The rest of Class B and I were thinking of ordering pizza for dinner. If it's alright with you guys, do you mind if we come over and share? Sounds like fun. We'd love that, wouldn't we everyone? Yeah, everyone minus Bakugo shouted with joy while looking a bit happier. Great. We'll come by once the pizzas arrive. See you later. Bye Kendo-chan. Momo waved to her friend before facing the others. Now, let's hurry back to the dorms and get the place cleaned up before they arrive. Moaned the whole class minus Ida. We need to have the place looking presentable. It's our duty as hosts. Dictates Ida while moves his hands in an Egyptian-style manner. As they made it into the dorms, everyone immediately noticed something. It's warm in here. Said the perverted grape. Finally exclaimed Mina, someone must have come to fix the heater. Took long enough, said Uraraka as she walked towards the hall leading to the girls' rooms. As she entered the hallway, she suddenly stopped and hid around the corner. The others took notice of this. What's wrong Uraraka? Questioned Jiro. Uraraka simply gestured her hand to the corridor. They all peeked around the corner and saw the same strange thing. It appeared to be some sort of large green shrub. What the hell is that? Whispered Kaminari. It looks like a shrub, stated Sato. It's human, stated Bakugo. How can you tell? Asked Hagakure. He pointed to the ground where they all saw a pair of feet. Oh, said Hagakure. Maybe it's Ibara, said Mina. Her hair's a lighter green, replied Kaminari. Maybe it's the guy who fixed the heater. Stated Sato. Approach silently, whispered Todoroki. Following his lead, they all tiptoed silently. Until Ijiro's tail wagged in front Minetta's face and caused him to sneeze. Ah, they both gasped. You asswipes, yelled Bakugo. The shrub thing shook, startling the others as well. No one moved until a person sidestepped from behind the shrub thing. It was Tsuyu. She was red-faced with tears in her eyes. Tsuyu. Said Ichako. Asui-san, is something the matter? Who is that? Ida interrogated while doing what appeared to be karate moves. Oh, everyone. Everyone was shocked by the familiar-sounding voice. The green shrub started to turn. They came face to face with a green-haired, freckled, muscular, tank top-wearing, eye-patched teenager with an arm covered in scars. They all instantly recognized his smiling face. Sorry it took me so long to find my way back. I'm sorry if I made any of you worry. Chapter 2. Class 1 is staring at the green-haired individual in front of them. Me Midoriya? Asked Ida. Yeah, it's Midoriya was saying until he got tackled. Deku, I'm so glad you're safe. I was so worried. Don't scare me like that again, Uraraka shouted while crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry that I made you worry, Uraraka-san, but do you think you could let us down now? Deku said while blushing like crazy. Wiping her tears off, she looked down and saw her classmates looking up at her. Red-faced, she pressed her fingertips against each other. She didn't think about landing. Luckily, Deku landed on his feet and caught her in his arms. Are you okay, Uraraka-san? Midoriya asked innocently. Realizing her position, she somehow got even redder. "Nuo," she screamed while jumping out of his arms. "No." Deku asked, shocked by Uraraka's response. "That's him alright." His classmates all thought. Midoriya-kun, the class president, marched towards him with his arms flailing everywhere until they landed on Midoriya's shoulders. "We were all worried about you so much. When did you get back? Why have not tried to contact us? Why are you wearing an eye patch?" he said while shaking him. "I'll explain if you stop shaking me," said Midoriya. Sorry for that." When Iida stopped shaking Midoriya, he realized something. They were at eye level. "Midoriya-kun. You've gotten taller." "Have I?" "It looks like you have," replied Momo. "You've gotten more muscular too," Mina said while looking him over. "And what's with your hair?" "It's reaching down to your ankles," stated Kaminari. "This is a manly new look for you, Midoriya," complimented Kirishima. Thank you," Midoriya replied. "How did you change like this in just 2 weeks?" questioned Zero. 2 weeks? Thought Midoriya. I don't get it either," he stated nervously. "That doesn't really answer any of our questions." "Why don't start answering with the eye patch," stated Shoji. "Oh this? I just injured it in a fight. The eye patch is just to stop it from getting infected," Midoriya said. "Does it hurt?" asked Todoroki. "No, all it did was give me a scar," Midoriya said while taking off the eye patch. He revealed what appeared to be 2 burn scars going over his eye like an X. This shocked everyone, most noticeably Uraraka, Tsuyu, Todoroki, and Bakugo. "What kind of scar is that?" said Kaminari out of shock. "I fought a swordsman and got distracted while fighting him," Midoriya stated blatantly. "How can a sword do that?" "It looks like a burn mark," interrogated Mineta. "It was a hot sword," Midoriya said with a blank expression. There was a short silence due to that expression from Midoriya. The silence was broken when Mina walked up to him and placed both her hands on his face. "Ashido-san, what are you doing?" Midoriya said, getting really red. "Mina-chan, you shouldn't get in someone's personal space like that," Momo stated. Mina then pulled Midoriya's hair back a bit. "I knew it, you pierced your ears," Mina said with a slight grin. Everyone gathered around her to see what she was talking about. When they got close, they all saw 2 golden rod-like earrings hanging from his left ear. "Dang, that's some serious bling, Midoriya," Kaminari stated. "Midoriya-kun, I never expected you to be a man of jewelry. Honestly, I'm quite shocked," Iida said. "Looks nice to me," said Jiru. Thanks Jiru-san. "They were a gift," he said with a smile. Achako and Tsuyu's faces froze when they heard this, while Mina's only seemed to brighten. "Was it from a girl, Midoriya?" Mina asked with excitement in her eyes. "And no, they were a gift from my sensei," he said in his defense. "Sensei?" Kirishima asked confused. "I suppose I should explain." "After I was teleported, Midoriya was explaining before he was interrupted by the dorm entrance being opened. "Oi Momo, we're sorry we took so long." 'Twas Itsuka Kendo who yelled this out while accompanied by her fellow classmates plus Shinso. "Kendo-chan." "And Shinso-kun," Momo stated. "I invited him along, yo," Shinso greeted. "Anyways, it looks like pizza's off the menu. The pizza place said their vehicle broke down and they can't deliver here without one. Because of this and the fact that we're all pretty hungry, I brought some ingredients and figured we could cook something together," Kendo says while holding up a bag of ingredients. "That sounds like a great idea, but I'm afraid that the only ones among us that can cook are Sato and Tsuyu," Momo states. "I can help out with the cooking too," Midoriya says stepping out from behind Momo. 1B just looks at him confused. "Who's this tall piece of eye candy?" Setsuna says with a flirtatious grin. "Oh, it's me, Midoriya Izuku." They're all shocked when they hear him say this. "Midoriya?" Shinso questions. "The same." Midoriya replies. "My god. You've gotten even more hunky than before," Setsuna said while growing an even wilder grin. Thank you, Setsuna-san," Midoriya awkwardly said while blushing. "Is that really you? I mean, look at you. Your hair's as long as a bar's," Kendo said in disbelief. "There's also the eye patch," Shinso added on. "You look like lost a knife fight to a shrub," Monoma annoyingly stated, although I suppose that's not too hard to believe, considering that you got outsmarted by a man who looks like he robbed a graveyard for hands. You'd think a student from class A would be used to this sort of thing and managed to think of how to ask. Thankfully, Monoma was cut off by Kendo chopping his head. "Sorry about that," Kendo apologized while dragging Monoma to a couch. "It's alright. Anyways, I didn't know you could cook, Midoriya," Momo stated a little surprised. "Yeah, the chef from where I was staying taught me how to cook," Midoriya replied. "That reminds me. You still haven't told us about what happened to you," Tokoyami reminded everyone. "I'll gladly explain," Midoriya said as he was cut off by several people's stomachs. "But I think we should deal with dinner first. You sure you don't want to change first?" Shinso asked as he pointed at Setsuna, giving Midoriya a look. "Good idea," Midoriya replied. We should change as well, Iida said, remembering that him and the rest of his class were still in their uniforms. Excuse us, Momo apologized as she and the others made their way to their rooms. 10 minutes later. Class A returned to the common area dressed in casual clothes. However, Midoriya still hadn't shown up. Is Midoriya-kun still getting dressed? Iida asked with his hands forming a diamond. Just then they all saw Midoriya walking down the hall. He was wearing black formal pants, a white long-sleeved dress shirt with the top buttons undone, as well as a black vest. Imagine this but with Deku and without glasses. He was carrying 4 mini fridges in his arms. Oh my, Satsuna said getting a good look at him. What's with the suit? Questioned Todoroki. Whenever you're serving food to a lady, you have to look presentable, Midoriya stated with a smile. This caused some of the girls to blush and Aoyama to give a thumbs up. It certainly completes the certain look you've got going, Tokoyami said earning nods from some of the other guys. What's with the fridges? Questioned Toru. Oh, the chef gave me some ingredients as I left. I figured we could use some of them, replied Izuku as he proceeded to open the fridge, revealing a wide variety of fruits, vegetables and meats. Whoa, I've never seen fruits like these. And these veggies are practically glowing, commented Kendo. Oi Midoriya, what kind of meat is this? Asked Sato. It's Sea King, replied Midoriya. Sea King? Is that a type of fish? Questioned Kirishima. You could say that, replied Midoriya. What about this? Mineta said holding up a fish with tusks. Oh, that's an elephant tuna. I was lucky enough to find one at a fish market, stated Midoriya with a smile. You sure know a lot about food now, stated Shinso. Yeah, I guess I do, replied Midoriya. The sound of Mineta's stomach reminded them that they still had to cook. So Midoriya, do you have any idea about what we can cook? Asked Sato. How about fried rice? It shouldn't take long to cook, replied Deku. How's that sound guys? Asked Kendo. She simply got nods in response. Alright, that settles it. Let's get started, said Deku as he put a green lollipop in his mouth. What's with the sucker? Asked Sato. Helps me focus, replied Deku. After about 5 minutes of cooking, Deku walks out carrying a bunch of drinks. Here's some drinks while you wait, said Midoriya. Thanks Deku, said Ichako. Midoriya walks past the guys and gives the girls their drinks. What the hell Deku? What about us, shouted Bakugo. Sorry Kaken, but you should always serve ladies first, Deku said with an awkward smile which caused Bakugo to calm down and some of the girls to blush. Midoriya went back to the kitchen and brought the guys their drinks. Wow, Deku, this tastes great, said Ichako as she drank some of her drink. I agree. Midoriya-kun, you've really outdone yourself, complimented Iida. Thanks, it's my special blend, said Deku with a smile. 5 minutes later. Deku, Sato, Sayu and Kendo walk out of the kitchen carrying plates of fried rice. Sorry to keep you waiting, said Kendo as she started placing some plates on the table. Whoa, this stuff looks delicious, yelled Kirishima. Eat as much as you like, Midoriya said sitting down next to Ichako and Sayu. I did Akamasu, said everyone in unison. When everyone took a bite they stopped for a second and started stuffing their faces. Oh my god, this rice is amazing, yelled Iida. This is the manliest thing I've ever eaten, yelled Kirishima and Tetsu in unison. I didn't know fried rice could taste this good, stated Momo. I can't stop eating this, said Todoroki. I'll admit that this isn't bad for a second-rate chef who only learned to cook within 2 weeks, yelled Monoma, despite stuffing his face like crazy. Thanks, said Midoriya who was the only one eating normally. After literally 1 minute everyone finished and held out their plates yelling seconds, sure thing, said Midoriya in response. 3 seconds later. Ugh, I didn't know I could eat that much, said Mineta with a bloated stomach. Midoriya-kun, could you teach me how to cook like that please? Asked Kendo. If you've got recipes for sweets could share them with me? Asked Sato. Sure, Midoriya replied with a smile. By the way, this has been bothering me for a while, but what's with those two? Kendo asked pointing to Tsayu and Ichako. Said two were currently clinging onto Midoriya's arms really tightly. I just really miss Deku, Ichako said while clinging even tighter. She looked at Deku and saw that his face was getting redder. She looked down and immediately noticed between what his arms were lying. She immediately let go and covered her face which was also red. The same goes for me, said Tsayu. That reminds me, Asui-san, said Iida, when we got here you were with Midoriya-kun and you were also crying while blushing. What happened? I can answer that, said Midoriya, when I got here I ran into Tsayu-chan. I was surprised to see her here and she was surprised to see me. Before I could say anything she approached me and told him how glad I was to see him, Tsayu said covering Midoriya's mouth. Thought everyone seeing this. Oi Deku, well you're on the topic of explaining things, I suggest you explain what we're all wondering about, Bakugo said in a serious tone. Everyone gathered around Midoriya after Bakugo said that. Alright, I guess I should explain, Midoriya said with a serious tone. I'll tell you about where I've been for the past 5 months. Chapter 3. 5 months? What are you talking about? You've only been gone for 2 weeks, said a confused Todoroki. It may seem that way to all of you, but for me I've been gone for 5 months, said Midoriya. That's impossible. Even if you were teleported to the other side of the world, it would still be 2 weeks, reasoned Tokoyami. Tokoyami, Sayu, Achako, Kakin, do you remember what happened before I was teleported? The villains injected something into my bloodstream. After being examined by a doctor and 2 scientists, I discovered that they injected me with a sort of liquid tracking device. Knowing Shigaraki Tamura, I'm almost certain he made a remark relating to that. Am I right? Said Midoriya. Before that Midoriya spoke to all flashed back to that day. He's not even on the planet anymore is what he said Bakugo. It's exactly as he said, I was sent to another world, Midoriya stated. Everyone just stared finding Midoriya said hard to believe. I spent 5 months in that world. If you look at me it should be obvious, Midoriya said standing up. Without saying anything, Midoriya takes off his vest and shirt and throws them to the side. Some of the girls covered their faces while others just stared even harder and while both Mina and Satsuna started whistling. Midoriya-kun. Yelled Iida in surprise. No shame even in winter. So manly yelled Kirishima with Tetsutetsu nodding furiously. Deku-kun, why you shouldn't just casually disrobe like that Uraraka yelled while covering her eyes and hiding her nosebleed. Sorry if this seems out of place, but it'll help prove my point if you just look at me, Midoriya responded. Everyone eventually focuses on him and notices his more muscular body along with several new scars. His chest looks like this. His arms look the same as before. As you can see, my body has developed quite a bit. I've also become as tall as Iida. Both of these developments would be impossible in just 2 weeks, right? Questions Midoriya. Everyone just nods in agreement. You can also tell by my hair, right? I thought that time may have worked differently there than it does here, so I grew my hair without cutting it to serve as evidence, explains Midoriya. Were you really gone for 5 months? Asked a concerned Uraraka. Yeah, Midoriya replied sitting back down. He remains silent for a couple of seconds before he pinches the bridge of his nose. I'm glad I could make it back. I missed you all, he says while smiling with some tears in his eyes. His classmates just smile back. So what happened during those 5 months? Asked Bakugo. Yeah, you haven't told us that yet, added Shinso. Sorry, guess I got carried away. I'll start now, said Midoriya. Good, but put your shirt back on first, said Shinso. Midoriya looked down and realized he was still shirtless. Sorry, Midoriya apologized. Don't be, said Mina. After putting his shirt on, Midoriya sat back down next to Uraraka. I'll start from the beginning, Midoriya started. When I was thrown into the portal villain, everything turned black. I was falling in complete darkness until a small light began forming at the bottom of the abyss. It kept growing and growing to the point where I had to cover my eyes from the light. When I uncovered my eyes, I saw a sight that nearly gave me a heart attack. I was falling from the sky. The sky? Almost everyone shouted. Yes, the sky, Midoriya calmly replied. After screaming for about 5 minutes, I noticed a small rock island with a volcano down below. Luckily I was off course from the volcano, but I was still worried about surviving the fall. As I was questioning whether or not to break my arm in order to break my fall, a giant bird suddenly came in and tried to eat me in the sky. A giant bird. Everyone thought. I managed to dodge its attack and grabbed onto its back. I kicked it on the head and knocked it out. This unfortunately caused it to descend to the island. At the last second I jumped off the bird and managed to grab onto the edge of the volcano. Unfortunately, the edge broke off when I grabbed onto it. Unfortunate to the end, my head landed on the solid rock ground which caused me to pass out. Ouch, Zero bluntly said. I'm surprised you survived that. Most people would have cracked their skulls from landing on a rock, Todoroki said. Who knew thick-headedness could save lives? Monoma snarkily replied, to which he received a chop. When I regained consciousness, I was in what appeared to be a doctor's office. I met with the doctor and he told me that I'd be fine. He did question me about my arms though. I told him I injured them in a fight. The doctor told me that his captain found me and couldn't leave alone like that. Captain? Iida questioned. I guess I should explain that as well. I was saved by a group of pirates. Pirates? Everyone shouted with confusion. Are you serious? Didn't pirates die out in the 1500s? Kaminari said with skepticism. Yes, I'm serious. I'll explain the whole pirate thing later, Midoriya responded. Back to the story, the doctor explained that they were a pirate group consisting of 9 people. He told me that they were outside in the middle of a party if I wanted to meet them. When I exited, I was immediately met with the captain of the ship. He was very kind and welcoming. Afterwards, I was introduced to the whole crew. After several of them questioned me about my suit, I asked where I was. The ship's navigator told me I was on a sea called the Grand Line and that I was in the New World. I immediately questioned her about where that was and how far away it was from Japan. She looked at me with a strange face and said she'd never heard about Japan. After questioning her about the geological structure of the planet, the truth came barging into my mind. I realized that I wasn't on my Earth. "So that's how you found out you were in another world," said Uraka. "Yeah." I was honestly at a loss for words. I explained to them that I came from pretty much another dimension. I told them about quirks, and I also explained to them about our hero society. The ship sniper and doctor were really excited that I mentioned that I was a hero in training. The captain, however, didn't seem to have much enthusiasm towards heroes. At any rate, I was surprised at how easily they accepted my story as true. The ship's vice captain simply stated that weird stuff always happened on the Grand Line. Before we could talk further, the captain spotted a castaway in the waters. Unbeknownst to all of us, bringing this man on board would be the start of a massive war. War? Bakugo questioned. Yes, it was a war between pirates and mercenaries. 10 people against thousands, Midoriya replied. You can't be serious, Kaminari and Mineta shouted in unison. Midoriya-kun, you said 10 people. That means you fought too, right? Sayu said with concern. Yeah. It was an intense battle. I felt out of place, but I couldn't just stay out of it after they saved me. As the battle raged on, I saw how the crew fought together. They were like a family. I couldn't help but feel inspired. They were fighting this war to save countless people on the Grand Line from these mercenaries and didn't care that no one knew. They fought like they were ready to die. So many things about them reminded me of heroes. Fighting to save lives. That's pretty selfless for pirates, Ida commented. Yeah. After the battle finished, I knew what I had to do. I begged them to teach me to fight like them so that I could be a hero too. You seriously trained under pirates? Midoriya, they're villains, Zero shouted in disbelief. Don't you dare say that, Midoriya shouted, surprising everyone. They all saw the glare he was giving. He looked nothing like the Midoriya they knew. Zero, those people are anything but villains. They've saved several countries and villages out of their own goodwill. They've rescued children from mad scientists experimenting on them like they were expendable lab rats. The captain himself has put his life on the line several times to protect his own crewmates and many other innocent people, myself included. Even though the government recognizes them as villains, even though they themselves refuse to be called heroes, I and everyone they've saved know that they are true heroes. So don't you dare call them villains, Midoriya says with his fist clenched. The passion in his eyes was obvious. His will was burning hotter than ever before. Sorry, Midoriya, I didn't know they meant so much to you, Zero apologized. It's alright. Sorry for losing my cool like that. Midoriya apologized. From what you've said about them, I can see why you wouldn't want anyone to call them villains. Ida commented. Yeah, they sound like real heroes, Uraka added. Yeah, they are. To me at least, Midoriya responded. Midoriya, no offense, but could you finish the story? Todoroki asked. Sure. I can never forget the captain's response. It really stayed with me. Flashback. Train you? We barely know you. For all we know, you could be some sort of traitorous thief, said a long-nosed figure. Don't be so rude on the kid, you saw how he fought against all those lackeys with us, yelled an orange-haired figure. Yeah, but give it a rest. It's not our decision to make. It's his, stated a green-haired figure who was pointing to the person Midoriya was bowing in front of. Why do you want us to train you? Questioned the figure in front of Midoriya. I need to get stronger so I can become great hero, replied Midoriya. Why do you want to be a hero? Questioned the figure. Midoriya hesitated for a second, but he already knew his answer. I want to be able to protect everyone. To become a symbol of peace. To become someone who can save others with a smile. That is why I want to be a hero, Midoriya said with passion. The figure smiled at Midoriya's words and held out his hand. Okay, I'll train you if you join my crew, the figure said, still smiling. Midoriya thought for a moment, questioning whether or not he should join. After what seemed like forever, he asked one last question. Can I be a hero even if I'm a pirate? If that's what your dream is, then sure. You can be a hero. The figure responded. Tears started to well up from Midoriya's eyes as he bowed even deeper. Thank you, he yelled. End of flashback. So manly, Kirishima and Tetsu yelled in unison with tears in their eyes. After that, my 5 months of training in hell begun. I trained my body in many different and new ways. Does that include Xiao? Mineta was about to ask, but got cut off by Tsuyu tongue slapping him. I went through several dangerous adventures with the crew. We laughed, we cried, and lived our lives together. Then a few days ago, our captain had just saved a country from a dangerous tyrant. As thanks, the princess of the country gave our captain a royal treasure that was passed down throughout their royal ancestry. That treasure is what brought me back home. It was painful to say farewell, and I couldn't even greet the whole crew, but our captain said that we'd definitely meet again. Those words made me feel alright to leave. And that's about it. That's one hell of a journey, Midoriya, stated Sato. I can't believe how much you went through, said Kendo. It might have been rough, but it made me much stronger than before, Midoriya replied. If you're going to say that, then you'd better be able to back it up, Deku. Bakugo said with an arrogant smile. Yeah, I am. I'll show you my skills the first chance I get. You're in luck then. Tomorrow will give you the perfect opportunity for that, problem child, said a familiar voice. Everyone looked to the couch Izuku was sitting on. Behind it stood the sleep-deprived homeroom teacher of Class 1A, Aizawa Shota. Aizawa-sensei, it's good to see you, Midoriya started saying, but was interrupted by a chop to the head. PTA, Kaminari, Zero and Mineta shouted. Why? Midoriya questioned while rubbing his head. Aizawa jumped over Midoriya's head and landed on the other side of the coach facing Midoriya. When you arrived here 3 hours ago, you should have gone straight to Nezu's office so we could call off the search, Aizawa said coldly. Sorry, Aizawa-sensei. I should have been more responsive. Wait, how do you know how long I've been here for? Midoriya questioned. There are security cameras in the hallways and the common area. They record everything. And I mean everything. This caused Midoriya and a certain other green-haired character to immediately go red in the face. Next time, refrain from doing stuff like that in the hallways, Aizawa said emotionlessly. Why yes, sensei, Midoriya sheepishly replied. Aizawa then did something no one expected. He pulled Midoriya in with his one arm and gave him a hug. Nani? Were the collective thoughts of everyone. Welcome back, problem child. You had us worried, Aizawa said in an emotionless yet warm tone. Us? Midoriya asked, confused by what Aizawa meant. Midoriya then felt something squeeze his leg and he looked down to see what it was. He saw a white-haired little girl with a horn on her head looking at him with small tears in her eyes. Deku-san, she said, whimpering a bit. Eri-chan, Midoriya said, realizing who it was. Midoriya then felt something large grab him and pull him in. Midoriya, it's good to see you back safe and sound, said a familiar blonde figure. Tagada-senpai. Midoriya said, recognizing his blonde senior. From his other side, Midoriya felt something soft covering his arm. Hey, where have you been? How'd you get back so quick? Can I try on your eye patch? Said the periwinkle-haired female. Nijire-senpai, why too close, they're covering my arm, Midoriya yelled, seeing how his school's idol was so close. Then out of nowhere a very antisocial looking figure walked closer and leaned on Tagada's back to try and join in on the hug. Welcome back, the figure said, looking nervous. Thanks Tamaki-senpai. Midoriya said with an awkward smile. Finally, Midoriya felt a large pair of arms wrap around all of them and squeeze them into a massive hug. Young Midoriya, good job coming back, yelled the bulky figure. All Might, Midoriya said, happy to see his teacher. Yes, I am he, All Might said as he coughed up blood and shrank down. How did we not notice all these guys coming in here? Thought every student with as they sweat dropped. Ahem, let's get to the point already, Aizawa said, looking tired. Midoriya, we wanted to question you on exactly how you got here. Isn't that right, Nezu? Yep, that's right, said Nezu as he popped out of Aizawa's scarf. Again? Midoriya said, surprised seeing the principal himself. Midoriya, according to the security cameras you never entered the dorms or the school for that matter. You just walked out of your room. For security reasons and the fact that I'm simply just curious, I need to know exactly how you got in here, Nezu explained. Oh, that. I can explain that. I just need to quickly grab something, Midoriya said as he ran to his room. After a minute, he came back holding a sheathed sword. This is what brought me back here. It's the black blade known as Yamajiri. This is a sword that ate the warp fruit and became a dimension-slicing blade, Midoriya said as he unsheathed the pitch-black sword. Warp fruit? Questioned Aizawa. I'll explain later, Izuku quickly replied. This blade can create portals by slashing the air. It can only take you to places you've been to before though, Midoriya explained. When I first used the sword, I ended up in my room at Mom's house. I actually spent 2 hours there reuniting with my mom before warping into my room, Midoriya said while rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. I see. I guess that answers my question, Nezu said. Is that all? Aizawa asked Nezu. Yep, that's everything, Nezu replied. Alright then, all of you get the frick out of here, Aizawa yelled, having to censor himself because of Eri. Everyone yelled out, confused. It's past curfew and incredibly tired. If you want to know more from Midoriya then you can ask him about it tomorrow, Aizawa said with a tired gaze. Everyone sighed and said their goodbyes as one by one they left for their rooms. Midoriya was the last to leave for his room because he volunteered to take care of the dishes. Just when he was about to enter his room, he felt a hand grab his. He turned around to find Uraraka holding his hand. She wraps her arms around him and brings him into a hug. Uraraka-san. Midoriya asked confused. Deku. I'm sorry. If I was stronger or smart enough to stay near Tsuyu, then you're Raka-san, it's okay. It all worked out for the better. Now, we'll never lose anyone ever again. I'll make sure of it. It hurt so much when you left. I couldn't help but think you were gone for good. I never want to experience that pain ever again. You're Raka-san, call me Achako. I want you to call me by my name too. Oh okay then, Achako Deku, promise me you'll never leave my side. Achako, I should go to sleep. Midoriya and Achako looked to their left and see Aizawa with red eyes and his hair raised. Now Midoriya and Achako both immediately separated from each other and went to their respective rooms. Sigh teenagers. Chapter 4. It is the morning after Midoriya has returned from his 2-week 5-month disappearance. It's 7 a.m. and all of Class 1 are sleeping soundly, or at least they were until the sound of a motor woke everyone up. Everyone groggily got up and started to walk outside in their pajamas except for Tsuyu, who looked like she was going skiing. When they got outside they were all met with a strange sight. Outside was the wild hussy cats already posing to meet them. Hey there kiddos, how you been? Said Ragdoll trying to break the ice. The hussy cats. What are you guys doing here? Achako asked. Well, when we heard that the search for Midoriya came to an end, Kota just had to see if his hero was actually back, so we brought him here so he could see for himself. Got a problem with that? Mandalay, Pixie Bob and Tiger said respectively. And no, Achako responded nervously. By the way, where is Kota? And Midoriya-kun for that matter? Asked Tsuyu. Oh, he was already outside when we got here. He took Kota and a little girl with him. They should be back any minute now, Mandalay answered. Little girl? Do you perhaps mean Eri-chan? Questioned Momo. Maybe, she had white hair and a horn, Pixie Bob replied. That's definitely Eri, said Achako. Suddenly, the sound of a motor returned. They're back, Tiger stated looking behind himself. Everyone looked in the direction Tiger was and saw something riding up to them. Coming in fast, it pulled over right in front of them and picked up some dust. When the dust cleared, everyone saw Izuku, in goggles and a tank top, riding a large green motorcycle. Riding with him was Kota, Eri and for some reason Hatsume. Yahoo! Eri and Kota yelled from excitement. Amazing Midoriya, you have to help me build one of these. Hatsume yelled in pure ecstasy from the ride. Sure. I'd be glad to help, Midoriya replied with a smile. Midoriya-kun, Tsuyu called, grabbing his attention. Oh guys, you're awake, Midoriya said, taking off his goggles. Sick wheels man, Kaminari stated. Thanks. Took forever to build, Midoriya replied. You built this? Iida said, shocked. Well, I had some help, Midoriya sheepishly replied. His skill set just keeps increasing, thought everyone. Why are you riding this noisy thing so early in the morning? Zero stated while yawning. Well, I woke up early today and ran into Aizawa-sensei, who asked me if I could look after Eri for a while. I said yes and thought it'd be fun to take her for a ride. I met Kota and the hussy cats outside and decided to bring Kota along as well, Midoriya explained. Okay, what about Hatsume? Jiro asked. I actually found her out back trying to dismantle my bike. I offered her a ride so she wouldn't tear it apart, Midoriya replied. Sorry about that. I just got so excited when I saw it. And it's made of materials I've never seen before, Hatsume said, excited over the bike. Okay, one more question. Why the heck are you two wearing tank tops out in the cold? Bakugo asked while restraining himself from swearing in front of kids. I'm used to the cold, it's my style, Midoriya and Hatsume said respectively. These two are something else, everyone except Eri and Kota thought while sweat dropping. Still though, this is one sick ride. You've gotta let us ride it sometime, Zero stated. I'd love to let you ride it, but I'm afraid that's not possible, Midoriya replied. What? Why? Well, this bike is fueled with my quirk, so I'm the only one who can make it work, Midoriya explained. With your quirk? Inquired Tokoyami. You see, whenever I use my quirk, my body emits an electric charge due to the excess energy that leaks out of my body. The bike's handlebars absorb the excess energy and send it directly to the engine. I suppose Kaminari could also use my bike, but he might short-circuit his brain if he rides it for too long, Midoriya explained further. That totally sucks, Kaminari said, disappointed. I'd still be happy to drive you guys anywhere you want though, Midoriya said with a smile. This caused the guys to look a little happier and the girls minus Eri to blush. Suddenly everyone heard a little sneeze and turned to see Eri with a runny nose. Eri, we should go inside so you don't catch a cold. I should probably make you some breakfast too, Midoriya said with concern for the little girl. You're all welcome to breakfast if you don't mind me cooking it, Midoriya said to the others. Those that already ate his cooking started smiling and drooling in excitement, while the others simply looked happy to get a free breakfast. As they got inside, Midoriya was heading straight for the kitchen until he was interrupted by someone calling his name. Midoriya-kun, Tsuyu called. Is something the matter, Tsuyu-chan? Midoriya said, confused by her calling him. She motioned him to come closer, which he did. She then made him turn around and sit down on the floor. He then felt something tugging on his hair. When it was done, he looked at a mirror that gave made him and saw his hair was tied in a messy wolf tail now. I noticed yesterday that you had trouble cooking while dealing with your long hair, so I figured I'd tie it up for you, Sayu said with her happy yet neutral face. I see. Thank you, Sayu-chan, Midoriya said, smiling back at her. What is this? Thought Class 1 looking at the two. You're welcome. Also, if you don't mind, I'd be happy to help you with breakfast, Sayu said. Me too, said Sato, joining in. Thanks guys. BTW, I invited everyone from last night to breakfast too, so they'll be coming as well. Except for Principal Nezu, he said he was busy. At any rate, we've got to cook up a lot of food, so let's get fired up, Midoriya yelled, getting fired up. Yeah, yelled Sato and Sayu, also getting fired up and following Midoriya into the kitchen. I didn't realize that people could get this fired up about cooking, Jiru said as she sweat dropped. 5 minutes later. We are here for breakfast, All Might yelled while coming through the front door. Behind him followed Class 1B, Shinso and the Big Three. Mornin', Shinso lazily greeted. Good morning everyone, Kendo greeted on behalf of her class. Yo, hi there hello, Tagada, Nijire and Tamaki greeted respectively. Good morning everyone, Midoriya said, walking out of the kitchen carrying several plates of omelette rice on his arms, hands and head. Midoriya-kun, I think you might need some help, Iida said, seeing his classmate's current state. I'm fine. Carrying this many dishes is fine for me, Midoriya said confidently. Surprisingly, he managed to deliver the plates to all the girls without losing balance once. Dang it Deku, where's our food? Yelled a hangry Bakugo. I already told you Kakin, it's ladies first, Midoriya replied. What manners, commented Mandalay. Indeed. Let's not forget that he can cook too. He'll make quite a fine catch in 3 years, Pixie Bob stated, making Izuku flinch. After another minute, everyone had their omelets and juice. Up everyone else, Batamiri and Kota. Just like last time, everyone immediately started pigging out after a single spoonful. Too tasty, yelled the Big Three and the Hussy Cats. Delicious, yelled Eri and Kota in unison. My taste buds are in heaven, Hatsune yelled while scarfing down her serving. I'm glad you all like it, Midoriya said, smiling. 5 minutes later. Ah, that was delicious, Kaminari said with a satisfied look on his face. I've gotta hand it to you Midoriya, I could eat your food for the rest of my life without complaints, Zero said, sipping some juice. Thanks, but I'm really not that good. The chef who taught me makes even tastier food, Midoriya said while coming out of the kitchen. Even tastier? Everyone thought with their mouths watering. While everyone was drooling, Midoriya walked up to Eri and Kota while holding his hands behind his back. Eri, Kota, come here for a sec, Midoriya called. Deku, big bro Izuku. Eri and Kota responded respectively. I honestly have no idea what Kota calls him. They both turned towards him and he squatted down in front of him. He then pulled his hands out in the open and held them out to the kids. In Midoriya's hands were 2 candy apples. He held a red one for Eri, whose mouth started watering, and a blue one for Kota. I figured you guys might enjoy a sweet treat, Midoriya said, smiling. Smiling brightly, they both took the sticks from his hands and bit into the apples. Delicious, they both said while looking at him with starry eyes. Everyone who saw this scene, including Bakugo, couldn't help but smile. I'm glad you liked it, Shishishi, Midoriya said while pulling an even larger smile. What was that? Asked Mina. What was what? Asked Midoriya, confused. That thing you did after you finished talking, replied Bakugo. Oh, that. Well, you see, my captain had a rather unique laugh, so I guess it kinda stuck with me, Midoriya replied. That's a laugh? Questioned Mineta. Yep, Shishishi, Midoriya said while laughing again. Shishishi, laughed Eri and Kota in an attempt to mimic him. Midoriya looked at the smiling pair before smiling himself. Shishishi, laughed all 3 of them. It's contagious, thought everyone while sweat dropping. Anyways, I wonder what we're gonna do today, Hagakure said, trying to break the ice. Yeah. Aizawa-sensei mentioned something last night, didn't he? Sato replied. He didn't give us any details though, Todoroki stated. Ah, that reminds me. Aizawa said he wanted to see us at the front gate in our hero costumes by 10, Midoriya explained. 10 Anyone got the time? Zero asked. It is currently 8:15, Iida exclaimed robotically. So we've still got about 2 hours then, Itsuka stated. What the heck are we supposed to do for 2 hours? Kaminari stated in an annoyed tone. Story, the tiny duo yelled in unison. Story? Midoriya asked them. Big bro, Eri said that you were a pirate. That means you got to go on crazy adventures. We wanna hear about them, Kota explained. Yeah, Eri added on. That's not a bad idea, Mina stated. Yeah, it's an interesting way to spend time, Shinso added on. Is this alright with you, Deku-kun? Achako asked. I'm fine with it, Achako. Besides, I can't say no to these two, Midoriya said while rubbing Eri and Kota's heads. Achako. Thought all the girls and a certain two perverts, you know who they are. Alright. I'll start with the first adventure I went on with the crew. It happened during the third month of my training. We were caught in a storm and trying to navigate to the next island when we came across a volcanic island. The island itself seemed to be on fire along with the sea around it. This sounds like an island in hell, Shinso thought. Just as our captain started arguing with the navigator about wanting to go see the volcano, we received insos coming from an island known as Punk Hazard. We assumed this was the name of the fiery cesspool in front of us. After drawing lots, it was decided that our captain, vice captain, archaeologist and sniper would scout the island. The rest of us remained on the ship. With nothing else to do, I decided to do some maintenance on the ship submarine, a pirate ship with a submarine. Iida questioned. Technology there is more advanced than you'd think, Midoriya answered. Blueprints? May inquired. Later, Midoriya responded. Anyways, as I was working on the sub, I noticed a strange smell in the air that made me a little woozy. By the time I realized it was sleeping gas, my eyes had already shut. I woke up after hearing gunshots from the deck. When I managed to get back up, I saw that the ship had been moved to an area completely covered in snow. Wait, what? Now I'm confused, did the ship move to another island? Shinso, Kendo and Iida said respectively. Allow me to explain. You see, Punk Hazard was originally a relatively normal jungle island. It was uninhabited and abandoned because of an incident that happened around 4 years ago. The incident was caused by a scientist who was researching there. The scientist was busy developing a mass murder gas weapon. That's horrific, that's truly evil, definitely villainous, All Might and the other heroes said. He was about to be arrested, but as a last resort he set off the weapon. This caused a massive explosion which he thought would kill his pursuers, unfortunately for him though he managed to get caught. He did however escape the prison ship and fled. A year after that, he returned and purified the island. Wouldn't he have died from the poison gas though? Questioned Sai. His ability renders him immune to poisonous gas. That's too convenient, damn it, almost everyone thought. Anyways, a year after the scientist returned, a massive battle broke out. It was so devastating that it split the island in two and changed the climates of both halves permanently. What kind of monsters could do this? All Might asked in disbelief. It was the Marines. A new fleet admiral was to be decided and the Marine were split into two factions. Those who supported the Admiral of Magma, Akainu, and those who supported the Admiral of Ice, Akiji. Unable to come to a decision, the two battled on Punk Hazard to decide who would take the position. After 10 days the war came to an end with Akainu as the victor, Midoriya explained with a noticeable bit of malice in the last bit. So that entire island was torn apart by just two people, yes. It shows you how strong those who sail the seas are. Anyways, that's how the island came to its current state. Our ship was simply moved to the frozen half. The only ones on it were me, the ship's musician and a bunch of unconscious men in suits. We found out later that everyone else had been captured by the scientist. The musician wasn't captured because his physical appearance made the abductors think he was dead. His physical appearance? Questioned Achako. Let's just say his appearance is very reminiscent of All Might, Midoriya said. Do I really look dead? All Might thought with a gloomy aura around him. Anyways, after the musician informed me about what happened while I was unconscious, we received a transmission from the crew's archaeologist. After explaining the situation to her, she told us to wait for them to return to the ship. Flashback. Brook-san. Midoriya asked to a figure building a snowman. Is something the matter, Izuku-san? The figure now known as Brook responded. Is it alright for us to just wait here and do nothing? What if Nami-san and the others need our help? I understand your concern, Izuku-san, but you have no need to worry. Frankie-san and Sanji-san most likely got taken to the same location as her, so she'll be okay. And if anyone gets injured, Chopper-san is there to treat them. Besides, Nami-san is strong herself, I see. But can we really just do nothing? Will Robin-san told us to wait here and we're the only capable of guarding the ship now, I see. By the way, is it okay for us to be right next to these Navy ships? Don't worry, they're abandoned. If they weren't we would have been fighting Marines by now. Maybe I should go search the area to see if there aren't any Marines in hiding. If that'll help you feel secure, then go ahead. Just yell if you need help, okay? Izuku then proceeds to grab 3 swords and start scouring the area. 10 minutes later. Alright, I've checked everywhere within a 10-kilometer or 6-mile radius and there seem to be no enemies. I should head back, Izuku says to himself as he starts walking back to the ship. I'm surprised that I'm not getting cold in this kind of weather. The support course must have insulated my suit. My face is still cold though. My hair keeps getting in the way now, so I can't put on my face mask, Izuku thought to himself. Unbeknownst to Izuku though, something was closing in on him. After half a minute of walking, Izuku suddenly felt a fierce presence right behind him. Izuku immediately ducked on instinct, narrowly avoiding a blade trying to slice his head off. Izuku draws one of his swords, turns around and blocks another slash, but it manages to push him back a bit. Before Izuku can recover or activate his quirk, the attacker rushes towards him again, forcing him to block it. "Who are you? Why are you attacking A?" Izuku was saying before he got a good look at his attacker. Just a torso." Izuku yells, seeing that his opponent was literally just a headless torso. Izuku then manages to push it back and try to slash it, but it somehow manages to avoid his attack. "What is this thing? And how is it able to dodge my attack?" Izuku thought. Izuku repeatedly keeps trying to slash the torso, but it keeps on dodging and manages to cut his uniform and his chest underneath. "Ouch, this thing, it's using observation," Izuku thought, questioning the torso's ability to dodge and attack him. Just as Izuku manages to get his footing, his shirt suddenly bursts into flames. "Ah, what the hell," Izuku yells before ripping off his shirt and throwing it on the snow. "My top bursted into flames all of a sudden. Did this thing do it? I better kick things up a notch," Izuku thought as drew another sword. The torso in accordance draws another sword as well. "It uses Notoryu as well, huh?" Suddenly they both rush at each other with their swords blocking each other and them getting into another power struggle. Izuku leaned back while pushing the torso forward. He tried kicking it while it was still in the air, but it used its swords to block the kick and launch itself upwards. "Gotcha." Izuku then hold his two blades horizontally in front of him. "Notoryu Nijiri. Tower climb," Izuku yelled as he jumped and lifted his blades up to slash his opponent. Unfortunately, it blocked his attack with its own blades. "Tower climb return," Izuku yelled while bringing his blades down. The torso yet again blocked it, but got knocked down to the ground in the process. Izuku landed on the ground and immediately jumped forward while holding his blades vertically downwards. Demon Bear, the torso, somehow managed to block this and push Izuku backwards. Without even a moment's rest, the torso jumped Izuku and clashed in another power struggle. The torso then forced Izuku's blades down and launched itself up. Izuku, now exhausted, somehow managed to recover and lifted his blades up to defend. Izuku's eyes widened when he saw the torso's blades turn black as it came down. Armament. The torso brought its blades down, which sliced through and shattered Izuku's. Shit. The torso finished its attack by slashing both blades over Izuku's left eye. The slashes immediately bursted into flames once they made contact. "I am I," Izuku yelled while slamming his face into the snow to quell the flames. While Izuku's face was in the snow, the torso was bringing its sword down for another attack to finish him off, and its sword was inches away from his neck. Obeyed Kudroit, the creature raised its sword to block a flying thrust attack, but got pushed back into a snow hill due to the sheer force. Suddenly a skinny figure ran in, grabbed Izuku and quickly started retreating. "Izuku-san, are you okay?" yelled the figure. "Brook-san," Izuku said weakly. "I shouldn't have let you go alone. Nami-san, Robin-san and Chopper-san are going to be mad that I let you. We need to get you back to the ship so we can tend to your wounds," Brook said as he started running at full. He then heard something coming from behind. Brook said while looking back. He then saw the torso hopping after them. "Ah, it's following you, so scary," Brook yelled while running even faster. "I think we lost. Thank goodness." What is that?" Brook said while looking into the distance ahead. Getting closer, he saw what appeared to be a bunch of centaurs aiming hand cannons at people in the water. Brook then stopped and placed Izuku on the ground. "Izuku-san, I'll be right back, so don't move," Brook said as he ran off. Izuku just closed his eyes and slowly fell unconscious. 5 minutes. Izuku slowly opens his right eye to see he's moving on the back of some creature. "Where am I?" he asked to no one in particular. "Ah, Izuku, you're awake," said a figure wearing a straw hat. "Luffy-senpai. Izuku-san, you're alive," yelled Brook with tears in his eyes. "What made you think he was dead?" yelled a long-nosed figure. "It's just that he looked so pale, Usopp-san." "Right, Robin-san?" Brook asked a female figure who just gave him a cold glare in return. Robin-san, are you perhaps still mad at me?" Brook said while breaking out in a cold sweat. "Of course she's mad at you. You let the kid go out on his own and he nearly lost an eye," said a green-haired figure who only had one eye himself. "Zoro-sensei, I broke my swords," Izuku said, feeling disappointed in himself. "Don't worry about it, kid. Just rest up until we find Chopper. He'll be able to fix you up," Zoro said in an indifferent tone. Zoro's being nice. His brain must have froze in the water," Usopp said, surprised by Zoro. "You want to get cut, long nose?" Zoro said, getting pissed off. "Ah, scary," Usopp yelled. "Shishishi," Luffy laughed, seeing the other behavior. End of flashback. "So that's what happened to your eye," Kendo said while processing the story. "Yep," Izuku replied. "Also, you're a swordsman," Kendo added on. Yes, the vice captain and musician both taught me how to fight using swords, Izuku explained. But why did you take 3 swords if you fought with 2? Inquired Ida. Actually, I use all 3 to fight. I just didn't use the third one in that fight because I hadn't completely mastered Santoryu at that time. Get Santoryu? Inquired All Might. Yes, it is a sword style where the user attacks with 3 swords. The ship's vice captain, Zoro-sensei, created it himself and he trained me to use it as well, Izuku stated. Did he teach you the other one as well? Asked Ochako. Yes, he taught me Notoryu, the art of using 2 swords, as well as Otoryu, the art of using a single sword, Izuku replied. You're like a genuine swordsman now, said Kaminari. I guess you could consider me a swordsman, but I myself can't really call myself one. Why not? Asked Sayu. Because I didn't fully master the sword techniques before I left. I'm only a 2nd level, Izuku explained. 2nd level? Tagada inquired. In response to this, Izuku pointed to his earrings. These 2 earrings each represent a level of skill regarding Zoro-sensei's sword styles. There are a total of 3 skill levels. If I had 3 earrings, then it'd mean I could effectively use Zoro-sensei's techniques without flaw. Zoro-sensei said that I still needed about 2 months worth of training to call myself a Santoryu user, Izuku stated. I see, Tagada said while nodding. So you're a second-rate swordsman then. No wonder you lost to half a man, Monoma said, to which he received a chop. What happened to the torso? Asked Koda. Oh, well, we reunited him with his head and legs and he turned out to be a samurai. In a pirate world? Todoroki questioned. A strange world, isn't it? Why was a samurai in a place like that? Todoroki questioned further. His son had been kidnapped along with several other children by the scientist living on the island. He went to rescue him, but he got chopped up before he could. How awful, Momo said sympathetically. Did you save the kids? Asked Najire. Yes. My captain found his son and defeated the scientist, while the rest of us helped to evacuate the kids. We gave the kidnapped kids to a group of Marines whose leader our captain seemed to trust. The Marines were going to make sure the kids didn't suffer any serious damage before they returned them to their parents, Izuku explained. Pirates working together with Marines to save children. That's a nice thought to have, Mandalay said. Your captain sounds like a great man, Midoriya-kun, Sayu said. He is, Izuku responded while smiling. Why do you call him senpai though? Questioned Shinso. It's because he's only 3 years older than me, Izuku responded. He's only 19. All Might asked Kinda shocked. I've got a picture of him if you don't believe me. Give me a sec, Izuku said while running back to his room and coming back with several posters. What's that? Asked Mineta. It's the crew's wanted posters. You can see what everyone looks like with these, Izuku explained. I almost forgot that they were wanted pirates, everyone thought. I'll start with the lowest one. Ship Doctor, Tony Chopper. Bounty 100 Beely, Midoriya exclaimed. Cute here, he said. What is he? Asked Kaminari. Oh, he's a reindeer everyone thought confused. Next bounty. Ship Navigator, Cat Burglar Nami. Bounty 66 million Beely, that's a huge jump, everyone yelled. Gorgeous, Mineta and Kaminari yelled. Hentai, Sayu and Jiro said looking at them. Musician, Soul King Brook. Bounty 83 million Beely, this one looks like a concert poster, stated Jiro. Why is his picture a skeleton? Asked Ida. Because he is 1A. Everyone said shocked. Next. Shipwright, Cyborg Frankie. Bounty 94 million Beely, Cyborg Hatsum yelled while getting excited. He certainly looks like one, said All Might. That's just his robot suit. Archaeologist, Nico Robin. Bounty 130 million Beely, she looks pretty, said Eri. She likes kids too, Izuku said smiling. Chef, Blackleg Sanji. Bounty 177 million Beely, he looks like a pervert, Sato said. Why does his say only alive? Ida asked. Can't say. Sniper, God Usopp. Bounty 200 million Beely, he's really beat up, Kendo said looking at him. That's only to be expected from someone with that high a bounty, Shinso commented. The Pinocchio nose is kinda off-putting though, commented Kaminari. Ice Captain, Rorano Zoro. Bounty 320 million Beely, he looks scary, said Koda. But super manly too, exclaimed Kirishima with Tetsu nodding behind him. As expected from a vice captain, said All Might. Finally, Captain Monkey D. Luffy. Bounty 500 million Beely, he really does look 19, All Might said. To think someone so young could have a bounty that high, said Ida. Just proves how strong he is, said Izuku smiling. There you have it, the whole crew. Impressive, right? Definitely, replied Ochako. Midoriya-kun, you missed one, Sayu said pointing to a piece of paper on the floor. Oh, that's… Midoriya-kun, you have a bounty as well, Ida exclaimed. And it's the 3rd highest one too, Ochako added on. How'd you get such a high bounty, Deku? Bakugo asked. I'll tell you guys about it later, they called you a false hero, All Might said, a little mad at that. Those jerks, Kota said, mad they called his hero a fake. Don't let it bother you, Midoriya said with a smile. Anyways, we should probably get dressed in our costumes and head to the front gate so long. There's only about 40 minutes left, Izuku said, pointing to a clock which showed the time as 9:20. How long have we been listening to his stories? Everyone thought. Everyone, we better hurry and get dressed, Iida said with his snake arms. We'll meet you at the gate, Kendo said as her classmates and Shinso headed for their dorms. Tagada-senpai, can you watch Eri for me while we're busy? Izuku asked his senpai. Sure, but we were gonna tag along anyway since we've got an off day today, Tagada responded. Me as well, us too. Since Kota wants to watch his hero, I'm going just in case you're hiding any more gadgets, All Might, Tiger and Hatsune responded respectively. Okay then, Izuku said before going back to his room to change. 20 minutes later. Class 1 was already in the common area and were just waiting for a certain green hair. Where's Midoriya-kun? Asked Najire. He must still be getting dressed, replied Momo. Suddenly, everyone could hear footsteps and see someone walking into the common area. Everyone looked to see Izuku walking. His costume is as described in brief explanation. Sorry I took so long, Izuku said walking in. Cool, Kota said looking at his hero. You really look like a samurai in that, commented Kaminari. Thanks, you're not using your black sword? Questioned Todoroki. It's not really suited for training exercises. Besides, I'm not ready for a black blade yet. And these will suffice, Izuku responded. Standard katana. Raijin no ha. Plus and Organ no kiba. What's in the bag? Najira asked seeing a little bag hanging from his waist. It's a surprise, Izuku said with a smirk, shall we go? Everyone nodded as he said this and started walking out. When they reached the gate, they could see 1B, Aizawa, Vlad and Principal Nezu waiting for them. Good, you're all here. Now we can start the fun, Nezu said while grinning. Chapter 5. Currently, Class 1 as well as the Big Three, Eri, Kota and Mei, are riding on a bus towards the location Nezu informed them about. Izuku is currently sitting between Momo and Mirio, while having Eri and Kota who are both eating another candy apple sit on his lap. Momo. Midoriya-kun. Izuku. Is something wrong, Yaoi Rozu-san? Momo. You intend to fight with those swords, right? Izuku. Yeah, why? Momo. I just thought that it might be a little dangerous. I'm not sure what today's training is, but there is still a chance we may be going up against the teachers or possibly each other. Wouldn't those swords be too dangerous then? Izuku. I understand your concern, Yaoi Rozu-san, but I've already accounted for that. After saying that, Midoriya draws his red sword and reveals some sort of metal guard to be on the blade. Izuku. Frankie-san and Usopp-san helped me to create these guards for whenever I want to practice against another human. It's really helpful since using the back of the sword is really difficult. Mirio. That's pretty cool, but doesn't it defeat the purpose of a sword? Izuku. Not really. By adjusting my grip on the scabbard, I can choose when to use the guard and when to leave it off. Momo. How innovative. Izuku. Smiling, isn't it? Shishishi. Eri and Kota. Shishishi. Momo. Shishishi. Momo followed along without realizing. She stared at Izuku who was taken back by her laughing along. He then shot her a grin that caused her to blush a little and look down in embarrassment. Meanwhile, with the rest of the girls. Tsuyu. Ichako-chan. Ichako. Is something wrong, Tsuyu-chan? Tsuyu. Why did Midoriya-kun call you by your first name? Ichako. Jiro. Yeah, why did he call you by your first name? Hagakure. He didn't call you that yesterday. Mina. Excited smile, did something happen? Ichako. Blushing like crazy IIIHEWWEL. Tsuyu. Very suspicious. Ichako. Well, what about you, Tsuyu-chan? Tsuyu. Kiro. Ichako. You were acting very strange when Deku talked about what you two were doing. Toru. Oh, yeah, Toru said remembering. Jiro. That was also quite suspicious, Tsuyu. Mina. Smirking, well, Tsuyu, care to explain what really happened yesterday? All the girls started staring at Tsuyu while she only kept a neutral gaze. After half a minute of staring, Tsuyu just disappeared. Jiro. What the? Ichako. She camouflaged herself. Toru. Hey, that's my bit. Mina. This isn't the end, Tsuyu. Aizawa. Quiet down back there, we're here. After the bus came to a stop, all the students got out and met up with 1B, Shinso, the Hussycats, Vlad, Principal Nezu and All Might in what appeared to be a large open dryland area. Izuku. Tsuyu-san, how long are you going to keep yourself camouflaged? Immediately after he said that, Tsuyu uncamouflaged and appeared right next to Izuku. Tsuyu. I'm surprised you noticed me, Midoriya-kun. Izuku. Your presence is hard not to notice. Mina. There she is. Midoriya and Sayu were interrupted by Mina yelling and pointing at Sayu. Aizawa. Be quiet. Nezu. Now that you've all arrived, I'll explain today's activity. If you would all look to your left, you'll see a large stone wall. True to his word, there was indeed a large stone wall. There was a small door-shaped opening at the base of the wall. Right next to the wall was a bunch of monitors and speakers. The wall itself seemed to be a few meters wide and about triple the height of the two buses stacked on top of each other. Nezu. On the other side of this wall is the special training field created by Power Loader and Pixie Bob. Vlad. This training area is made to test your skills in rescuing civilians from dangerous situation. Aizawa. You'll be split up into teams of 4 teams of 10. 5 students from 1A and 5 students from 1B will be on each team. One team will have Shinso as an extra member. 13. Coming out of nowhere, there are 3 steps to consider when encountering villains. 1. Rescue civilians. 2. Evacuate civilians to a safe area, and 3. Defeat and capture the villains. Vlad. You will be putting these 3 steps into practice on the other side of this wall. You succeed when all the villains are defeated, all the civilians are evacuated, and when you all reach the other side. Aizawa. Your group will be assessed according to the rate at which you complete the training. Izuku. In other words. Bakugo. It's a test. Todoroki. Of speed. The 3 of them all grinned at each other when they said this. Najire. Looks like the next generation is getting fired up. Amajiki. They'll have tough times. Mirio. They'll push through those tough times and rise to the top, I'm sure of it. Nezu. Now then, let's have the first team step up. From Class 1A. Midoriya Izuku, Iida Tenya, Sato Rakido, Hagakure Toru, and Jiro Kyoka. From Class 1B. Shiozaki Ibara, Shishida Jiroda, Komori Kanoko, Tsunatori Pony, and Yanagi Ryuko. Get ready cause you're up first. Izuku. This is my first time cooperating with someone from Class B. I look forward to working with you all and hope we can complete this task together. Izuku smiles while extending a hand forward. Jiroda then proceeds to shake his hand. Jiroda. I can only wish for the same, Sir Midoriya. Kanoko. We'll do our best to help. Pony. Yeah. Ryuko. We won't lose with someone as frightening as you on our side. Ibara. I can tell that the heavens are smiling upon us. We will come out on top. Jiro. Midoriya's gotten pretty confident, hasn't he? Toru. Yeah, he's so different than before. Much more mature. Sato. Well, he is the oldest now, isn't he? Those 5 months make him older than all of us. Jiro. Oh yeah. Toru. Guess he's 1A's big bro now. Sato. Big bro. Toru. Yeah. Class 1B has Kendo as their big sis, and now we have Midoriya. Sato. Oh, I see. Iida. I must agree. He's even taken the initiative to make himself more approachable. He's done my duty as class rep for me. Bravo Midoriya-kun. Jiroda. Sir Midoriya, are you alright? Your face is quite flushed. Izuku. Embarrassed smiling. Do these guys not realize I can hear them? Aizawa. Alright, warm-up time's over, get going. Izuku. Alright guys, let's go. Dimaizu. Yeah. They then proceed to walk through the stone entrance. The light on the other side blinds all of them for a moment. When it clears up, the group can see nothing but a giant chasm in front of them. Dimaizu. Their confusion is interrupted by the stone entrance getting sealed off behind them. Nezu. Testing, 1 2 3. Can you hear me? Principal Nezu spoke through a speaker attached to the wall. Izuku simply gave a thumbs up to signify that they could hear. Nezu. Ah, good. Now let's get started. Everyone divert your attention to what's in front of you. They all look in front of them and see 3 hot air balloons hovering in position. Training dummies seem to be hanging from the balloons via rope. Nezu. The first step of rescue training, rescuing civilians. This sector is easy. All you have to do is rescue the hostages hanging from the balloons and you'll be done with the first sector. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Haminari. Is that it? Momo. This seems too easy. Todoroki. And too inaccurate when compared to real rescue missions. Back to Izuku. Izuku. This can't be all there is to it, can it? Ibara. If that is all that is required, then I believe I shall be able to accomplish the goal. Ibara then proceeds to extend her hair towards the dummies. Just when she's about to reach it, when something starts shooting at her vines and blasts them to pieces. Ibara. What? Izuku. Shiozaki-san, are you okay? Ibara. I'm fine, but what was that? Nezu. I forgot to mention, there are machine guns mounted on the underside of the balloons baskets. They'll shoot at anything that gets close. All of Class 1 and B. Nezu. Oh, but don't worry, they're only rubber bullets. Everyone. Yet they're still powerful enough to blast through my hair thick vines. Jiro. What are we supposed to do now? Toru. Yeah, we can't get close enough to those things without them blasting at us. Sato. We can't get close in the first place since none of us can fly. Pony. I can with my horns. Ryuko. You'd get shot down instantly though. Hinoko. And it looks like the bottom of the chasm is nothing but mud. Pony. Feeling a little down I see. Hirota. Sir Midoriya, do you have any ideas? Izuku crossed his arms and closed his eye to think before opening it after a few seconds. Izuku. Principal Nezu, is it alright if we destroy the machine guns? Sato. Wait what? Nezu. Go ahead. We've got plenty of M. Izuku. Grinning alright. Iida. Midoriya-kun, what exactly are you planning to do? Izuku. Destroy the machine guns. Jiro. That's what you said, but how are you gonna do that? Hinoko. Yeah, even if you could get close, they'd just shoot you down. Izuku. Who said anything about getting close? Izuku smirked while taking off his eye patch and reaching into his bag. Hirota. Huh. How else are you going to destroy it? Izuku. Of course. Izuku started pulling out and putting on a pair of green goggles from his bag. Replace the orange with green. Izuku. I'm going to shoot them from here. Izuku finished as he pulled out a 5-pronged slingshot. Dimaizu. Pony. You're going to shoot those machine guns from here? With a slingshot. Ibara. 3 precise shots from this distance would be impossible. Ryuko. Also, no matter what type of ammunition you use, it will be instantly shot down. Izuku. Don't worry, my ammo won't be shot down or steered off course. And by the way, it won't be 3 shots, it'll be 1. Izuku stated as he took aim. Dimaizu. 1 shot. Izuku. Just watch. Izuku pulled the sling as the others watched him. Izuku. Special attack. Vulcanized green star platanus shuriken. Izuku let go, and a black pellet got shot out of the slingshot satchel. The pellet suddenly popped with a puff of smoke, and 3 large black star-shaped objects came out. The machine guns shot at the stars, but it had no effect whatsoever. The guns kept firing right up until they got sliced in half by the stars. Everyone was just shocked by what they saw. Iida. 1 shot. Sato. From this distance. Izuku. Pretty cool right? Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Nezu. Drinking tea cuckoo. It seems Midoriya is full of new surprises. Haminari. What was that? Momo. It looked like giant shurikens. Zero. They just appeared out of nowhere though. Todoroki. It was Midoriya. Mina. How can you tell? Bakugo. It should be obvious if you paid attention. You could see Deku shooting a pellet and said pellet popping and releasing those 3 shurikens. Mineta. A pellet. But those things were huge. Hatsum. Excited, could this be technology from another world? Shinso. He said platanus, right? Does that mean it's a plant? All Might. A plant that can grow instantly in mid-air and slice through machine guns as if they were paper. Truly incredible. Todoroki. He's widened the gap, hasn't he? Bakugo. Smirking, he won't keep the top spot for long. Back to Izuku. Iida. Midoriya-kun, what was that? Izuku. That was my new weapon, the pop green. Shiozaki-san, I think it should be alright for you to pull in the hostages now. Ibara. Okay. Ibara used her vines to retrieve the hostages. Suddenly, a popping sound was heard and confetti was sprayed all over the group. Nezu. Good job, you rescued the hostages. Remember that things aren't always as they seem. Villains won't just leave hostages out in the open without a plan in mind. While rescuing the hostages takes priority, you must always be wary of traps. Suddenly the ground started to shake and a stone bridge formed and connected both sides of the chasm. Nezu. Now then, cross the bridge and proceed to the next second sector. Don't forget to bring those civilians with you. Izuku takes off his goggles and puts his eye patch back on. He then proceeds to turn around and face his team. Izuku. Let's go guys. Dimaizu. Yeah. The group then starts running over the stone bridge and quickly reaches the other side. The other side was another dry area but had various rock mountains and hills, and in the distance was a massive wall that spread from both sides of the wall and was about half their height. When they reach the other side, Izuku immediately stops moving and swing his arm to the side so the others would also stop. Iida. Midoriya-kun, is something wrong? Izuku. Something's coming. Izuku's eye scans over the area until it lands on something in distance. Izuku. Gotcha, Delaware Smash Air Force. Izuku powers up, flicks his finger and launches an air bullet that destroys the object coming towards them. Upon closer inspection, the object can be identified as a missile-shaped projectile. Jiro. A missile. Izuku. It's a fake loaded with some sort of goo. Nezu. That goo will stick to any surface and bond immediately. I suggest you don't touch. I also suggest you pay more attention to where the missile came from. The group turns their attention to the direction the missile came from. In the distance they can see an army of black robots. Sato. Are those the entrance exam robots? Nezu. You're somewhat correct. These are the training robots that we use to train the second and third years. They're stronger, faster, and made of more durable materials than the entrance exam bots. Izuku. Let me guess, the objective here is to defeat the villain bots while defending the hostages and ultimately escape the area. Nezu. Good guess, but there's a little more to it than that. There are hostages being guarded by the villain bots. You need to locate them and rescue them as well. Izuku. I see. Guys, listen up. Izuku turns around and faces his team with his back towards the bridge. Izuku. Sato-san, Shiozaki-san, Yanagi-san, I ask that you three remain here and defend the rescued civilians. Tsunatori-san, Jiro-san, Hagakure-san, I need you three to locate the hostages being held captive by the villain bots. Iida-kun, Komori-san, Shishida-san, you three and I will focus on destroying the villain bots. Unbeknownst to the rest of the team, a one-pointer model had snuck behind them and was about to attack Hinoko. The team turned around and noticed it as it was bringing its arm down. Hinoko. Ah. Hirota. Lady Komori. Before the robot could bring its arm fully down, it got kicked square in the face and got knocked back a few meters. Izuku. Geez, at least let me finish talking. Izuku was now standing in front of his group with his right leg lifted up and held his hands up in a boxing manner. The group didn't say anything and had their eyes wide open staring at Izuku's leg. It was literally glowing and flaming. Izuku. Diable jam. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Mina. What's up with Midori's leg? Sen. He's using frictional energy to heat up his leg. Satsuna. Of course you think it's frictional energy. Izawa. He's right. Satsuna. Izawa. He was spinning rapidly on his leg before it started glowing. Mina. That's crazy. Also, was he speaking French? Yuga. Ooey. What he said means devil leg in French. Back to Izuku. While Team Aizu was still in shock, the robots began approaching again. Izuku. You've all been given your duties. I need you to stick with them as if actual lives are on the line. You got that? Team Aizu were shocked by Izuku's authoritative outburst before getting fired up themselves. Team Aizu. Yes sir. Izuku. Then let's go. The team splits up into their respective groups. Izuku. Yanagi-san. Izuku proceeds to throw her a bag before running off. Yanagi looks in the bag to see a bunch of yellow pellets. Izuku. If any bots make it past us, use your quirk to throw what's in the bag. Yanagi. Understood. Izuku then runs into a crowd of robots and heads straight for a one-pointer. Izuku. Diable jam. He then kicks the robot several times in the chest with his blazing foot. Izuku ends the barrage of kicks with a strong kick to the chest that sends it flying into another group. Izuku. Muton shot. Iida. Such power. Izuku proceeds to dodge and deflect several missiles being launched towards him by a three-pointer. He then runs towards said three-pointer and slides underneath it. He then flips onto his hands and does jumping handstand that launches the bot into the air. Izuku. Bequeaty air shot. Izuku the returns to stand on his feet while the bot begins falling. Just when the bot's about to fall on him, he does a vertical kick with his blazing leg that punches a hole right through it. Izuku. Anti-manner kick course. Izuku's leg unignited and he jumped out of the robot hole and proceeded to put a sucker in his mouth. Izuku. I hope you like those dishes. I take my pride as a chef seriously. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Everyone sans Monoma, Bakugo, and Todoroki, so cool. Mina. I don't know what he's saying though. Aoyama. His attacks are named after French cuisine. Mina. Food. Does that mean his crew chef taught him how to fight? Todoroki. The chef has a bounty of over 100 million. It's only obvious he knows how to fight. Back to Izuku. Izuku. I wonder how the others are doing. Might as well check. Izuku proceeds to remove his eye patch again and scans over the area. To Izuku's eyes, the world gains a dark blue tint and he can see light blue auras running around. Izuku. Looks like everyone is doing fine. Izuku looks up and sees another blue aura in the distant sky. Izuku. What is that? Izuku is snapped out of his thoughts by the sounds of machines. Izuku looks around himself and realizes he's surrounded by two pointers. Izuku. Ah, I zoned out. Bakugo. Facepalm dumbus. Izuku doesn't move as the two pointers stab at him and kicks up a dust cloud. Assault team. Sir Midoriya Midoriya-san Midoriya-kun. When the dust cleared, Izuku was shown to be nowhere in sight. Izuku. Oi, you're aiming a little too low. Assault team and the bots look up to see Izuku running up in the air. Izuku. Skywalk. Everyone. Eri and Kota. He's flying. Vegeta and Kaminari. No way. Izuku. This is the result of Sanji-sen's training. I crammed 2 years' worth of running into these legs of mine. This skill is one of my finest dishes. Izuku starts spinning mid-air and ignites both his legs this time. Izuku. Diable Jam. Pole, Friar Spectre. Izuku kicks downwards rapidly with both his legs which launches rainbow-colored fireballs at the bots which destroys them. Eerie. Pretty. Kota. It's like fireworks. Izawa. Dangerous fireworks. Izuku descends to the ground as his legs unignite. The rest of his assault team take this opportunity to run up to him. By the time they reach him he's already chewed and swallowed his sucker. Iida. Midoriya-kun, that was just incredible. Hinoko. Yeah, it was so pretty too. Izuku. Thanks, but that didn't really put a dent in the enemies. I estimate there's still at least 100 left. Hirota. We can't remain in this sector for too long. Sir Midoriya, do you have any battle strategies? Izuku. Go help the others. Hirota. Izuku pulls out a long bandana with a skull and crossbones on it and proceeds to put it on. The fierce look in his eyes causes his teammates to stagger. Bandana logo. How he wears it. Izuku. Shishida-san, you can use your sense of smell to find the hostages. Komori-san, you can use your mushrooms to block the three-pointers missile launchers. Iida-san, you can provide cover for the search team. Izuku begins walking towards the rest of the villain bots. Iida. Midoriya-kun, we can't just leave you here. Hinoko. Yeah, there's too many for one person. Izuku. Don't worry. Izuku pulls his arms out of his coat, which lets the top half of his coat hang freely by his waist. This reveals a tattoo of the same skull and crossbones on his scarless back. Izuku then points to the tattoo on his back with his thumb. Izuku. As long as I bear this mark, I can't lose. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Kirishima. His manliness just tripled. Satsuna. So did his masculinity. All Might. Young Midoriya, you really have changed. I'm glad. That must be his crew's brand. Izawa. Having pride is a good thing. Back to Izuku. Iida. Midoriya-kun, I'll trust you on this. Izuku. Good, now go. Iida and the other two leave to meet up with the others. Izuku watches them go before turning to the villain bots coming straight towards him. Izuku. Now then. Izuku proceeds to draw all three of his swords and places Gur plus Norgan no Kiba, the green one, in his mouth while he holds the other two normally. Izuku. Let's get started. Meanwhile, on the other side of the wall. Zero. Is he holding a sword in his mouth? Ichako. This must be the Santoryu he was talking about. Dageru. I'm actually interested how this Santoryu works. Back to Izuku. Izuku walks slowly towards the bots with his blades held out. He starts picking up the pace bit by bit until he's straight out dashing. Izuku. Santoryu. Seryun Ryusui. Izuku dashes at the crowd and a blue aura in the form of a dragon forms around him as he slashes horizontally through a crowd of one-pointers. This ends up leaving behind a pile of sliced in half one-pointers. Those behind the wall. Awesome. The two-pointer runs up to Izuku and tries to stab him with its stinger tail. Izuku simply jumps up to avoid the attack. While in the air, Izuku puts his hand swords over his mouth swords. Izuku. All Torajiri. Izuku brings the two blades down and splits the two-pointer's head and neck into 3 parts. Izuku proceeds to run to a three-pointer which launches missiles at him as he's running. Izuku simply avoids these by stepping out of the way while running. He then sprints until he's right in front of it. He then holds his parallel to each other with his mouth and left sword underneath the bot's stump neck and his right sword above it. Izuku. Gazami Dori. Izuku's blades clamp down and decapitate the three-pointer. More one- and two-pointer robots approach and Izuku turns to face them. Izuku then proceeds to bend down, place his left blade on the ground while holding the other behind him. Izuku. Hyakandama. Izuku leaps forward and starts spinning. As Izuku spins and moves forward, he slices through all the robots in front of him. Izuku stops spinning and lands. He then looks at all the remaining robots around him. Izuku. 16 one-pointers and 6 two-pointers. 22 left in total. Looks like I can finish this in one more attack. Izuku turns his back on his opponents and closes his eyes. Other side of the wall. Itsuka. What is he doing? Mirio. He's just standing there with his eyes closed. Shinso. He's not even facing the bots. Everyone watches on as the robots approach Izuku from behind as he just remains motionless. Kota. Big bro Deku, they're right behind you. Eri? Move. Izuku just remains still until the bots are directly behind him. Izuku only opens his scarred eye while still facing away from the bots. Izuku. Ringoku Onigiri. In the blink of an eye, Izuku is on the other with all the robots slashed to pieces. Izuku proceeds to sheathe all three of his blades and look over the area. Izuku. Alright, that was the last of them. I better go help the others. Those that watched the whole thing only had one thing to say. Everyone. Wow. After running for a few minutes, Izuku meets up with the rest of his team. They're still fighting robots with the search team now fighting as well. Izuku. They're still fighting. There must have been more robots here than I thought. Hey guys. Iida. Midoriya-kun. You're back already? Izuku. Yeah. How are things doing here? Jiro. We've located the hostages and are finishing off the remaining villain bots. These seem to be the last of them. Izuku. Good work. Sato. Jiro, look out. Jiro turns around to see several missiles coming straight at her at high speeds. Jiro. Shit, I let my guard down. The missiles immediately reach their target and explode on contact, covering the entire with goo. Hagakure. Jiro. Hagakure runs towards where the missiles hit but sees nothing but goo. Toru. Huh. Izuku. Are you alright, Jiro-san? We now cut to Izuku who's standing about 50 meters in Olympic swimming pool's distance away. He's holding an unharmed Jiro in his arms. Jiro. Midoriya. Jiro looks up to see Izuku looking down at her. She then realizes the position she's in. Izuku. Are you hurt anywhere? Jiro. Blushing, I'm fine. So can you please put me down, eh? Jiro, as well as everyone else, can see several black tendrils being emitted from Izuku's arms. All Might. This is. Aizawa. That's the same black mass from last time. Vlad. This is bad. Aizawa, we need to. Nezu. You don't need to do anything. Vlad. What? Nezu. It's not out of control this time. Something is clearly different from before. Wouldn't you agree, Aizawa? Aizawa. Yeah. Let's let this continue as it is. Vlad. Alright, might as well see where this goes. Back to Izuku. Izuku allows Jiro to stand on his feet before the others try to approach him. Iida. Midoriya-kun, are you alright? That power is. Izuku. I'm fine, Iida-kun. More importantly, we should get rid of the rest of these villain bots. Ryuko. Hold up. This black mass you're using now is the same thing from the last training exercise, and as I recall, it created total chaos. Iida. She's right, Midoriya-kun. Maybe it'd be better if you sit this one out. Izuku simply says nothing and walks past them towards the robots. As he's walking, the black tendrils emanating from both arms converge into two singular strands about as thick as his arm. Izuku. I'm not the same person I was before. This power is in my control now. Let me show you. The ends of the strands burst into smaller strands before reforming as fists. They then recede until they're right next to Izuku's actual fists. He then gets in a fighting stance reminiscent of a certain pirate. Izuku. The skills I inherited from my captain. Izuku cocks back his right arm to which the black strand follows. While Izuku was doing all of this, a one-pointer started moving towards him and was about to reach him. Izuku. Gomu Kenpo. Izuku throws a punch that sends the black fist straight into the midsection of the bot. The black fist keeps stretching with the one-pointer until it suddenly stops, which in turn launches the one-pointer into the rest of the bots, successfully destroying about half of them. Izuku pulls back his arm and the black whip. Izuku. Black pistol. Everyone was in pure awe of the sheer power Izuku just displayed. Izuku. It's far from over. Izuku dashes towards the rest of the robots at breakneck speed. Izuku. Gomu Kenpo. While still running, Izuku rapidly starts punching with both arms, thus sending a barrage of black fists straight at the villain bots. Izuku. Black Gatling gun. After destroying several bots, Izuku stops moving and stands still for a moment. He then twists his torso to the left along with his right arm. While doing this, he extends his black fist far out behind him. Some three-pointers take the opportunity to fire missiles at Izuku. Izuku. Nunchaku. Izuku twists back into his original position which causes his elongated black arm to lash out in a whip motion. Not only does this destroy the incoming missiles, it also smashes through all the remaining robots. Izuku then turns around and walks to the rest of his team. Izuku. That enough proof to convince you I'm in control? The others just nod as a response. Izuku. Good. Now, Jiro-san, you said that you found the hostages. Jiro. Why yeah. They're this way. Jiro leads the others in the direction of the stone wall. While they're running, they begin to feel the ground underneath them shake. Iida. This shaking, oh no. Jiro. Oh shit. Humming from behind a giant stone pillar in the distance, Team Izuku can see a giant black version of the zero-pointer. Sato. I'm getting pretty sick of robots now. The Bara. It's blocking our path. Toru. This thing'll be a pain to take down. Can't we go around it? Iida. That'll take too much time and it could attack us as we're running. We not to stop and fight this thing. Izuku. No, just keep running straight ahead. I'll deal the robot. Iida. Midoriya-kun. Izuku. Full cowling. Izuku activates his quirk as red markings appear all over his body and lightning begins to flicker in the air. He then boosts ahead of the group and heads straight for the zero-pointer. Izuku. New moves are an incredible asset, but classics pretty useful too. Izuku then jumps and heads straight for the villain bot's head. He uses Skywalk to avoid the robot's arm that's trying to hit him. He then cocks back his fist and charges it up with one for all. Izuku. Detroit Smash. Izuku's fist makes contact with the robot's head and knocks it clean off the robot's shoulders. Izuku then proceeds to skywalk his way over to the robot's side. Izuku. Cowl Brichette. Izuku skywalks and heads straight for the robot's torso, kicking it and knocking it out of his team's way. He lands a bit ahead of them and they immediately run towards. Iida. Midoriya-kun, are you alright? Jiro. Is your arm and leg okay? Izuku. Don't worry. Izuku holds up his arm to reveal that it, along with his glove and leg, are now colored a deep black. Izuku. As long as I have hockey, 50% is no problem. The other side of the wall. Kaminari. What the heck is going on with Midoriya? Mineta. First that weird plant thing, then a flaming foot, then that crazy swordplay, then those black things, and now this. Momo. I'm actually more shocked that his arm didn't break from that attack. Ichako. Yeah, and I think that's even more power than he used during the entrance exam. He did even worse damage to a robot that's an even stronger version of the regular zero-pointer. Izawa. Midoriya. Midoriya. Sensei, I can still move. Izawa. Smirks, you've come a long way, Midoriya. All Might. Young Midoriya, you've mastered and improved on 50%, huh? You're growing way too fast. Back to Izuku. Ryuko. Points at Izuku's arm. What on earth is that? Izuku. Oh, this is hockey. More specifically, it's armament hockey. After saying this, the black coloration faded and Izuku's arm and leg returned to normal. Izuku. It's a little hard to explain, so I'll sum it up. In short, it's pretty much my spirit manifesting as armor. It increases my offensive and defensive capabilities. Pony. Wow, that's so cool. Toru. And so powerful. Izuku. Thanks, now let's get back to the mission. Jiro-san. Jiro. Yeah. The hostages are this way. They begin running to the wall again. After a short while, they make it to the stone wall where they could see the two dummy hostages. Jiro. There they are. Hirota. Alright, let's grab them and finish this mission. Just as they're about to reach the dummies, several sharp red objects stab the ground ahead of them, which causes them all to stop on their tracks. Well, I'm impressed you guys made it here in under 20 minutes. Team Izuku look up to see a familiar figure hovering in the sky. He was wearing a pair of green headphones as well as a blue-tinted visor. His most distinguishing feature was his large bright red wings. Izuku. Hawks. Hawks. Hey kiddos. Iida. What's the two-pro hero doing here? Hawks. Well, Nezu asked me if I wanted to help out with training the first years. I accepted the offer, as you can see. I was really interested when I heard a certain someone would be here. Izuku. And what is you're supposed to being doing? Hawks. Think of me like an area boss. I'm wearing a target on my chest. Hawks. If you can destroy this target then I'll admit defeat. Although I won't make it easy for you. Izuku. I see you're not coming down from there, are you? Hawks. I don't even have to move from the spot, I can attack you from up here. Hawks proceeds to launch several feathers as daggers to Team Izuku. Ibara uses her vines to block the team from the feathers. Hawks recalls his feathers and sent them around Ibara's shield. In response to this, Izuku withdraws his two-hand swords and deflects all of Hawk's feathers. Izuku. Iida-kun, if I get you close enough, can you knock Hawks out of the sky? Iida. We don't really that many other options, so it's worth a shot. Izuku. Alright then. Shiozaki-san, drop the shield. Ibara. Understood. Ibara drops the barrier which exposes their location to Hawks. Izuku turns to face Hawks and holds his leg out. Izuku. Iida-kun, jump on. Iida. Got it. Iida proceeds jumps on Izuku's leg. Izuku. Armament. Hardening. Izuku's leg gets coated in hockey. Izuku's hockey spreads onto Iida's boots and engines. Izuku. Army de l'air. Robo shoot. Iida. Robo. Izuku flings Iida straight at Hawks with massive power. Iida reaches Hawks in a matter of seconds and starts firing up his engines. Iida. Recipro burst. Iida tries to kick Hawks downwards on his shoulder but gets blocked by a bunch of Hawks feathers get in his way. Iida. This is much stronger than normal, but it's not enough. Hawks. Whistle, that's some power you got there. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to use even more power than that. Hawk's feather shield wraps itself around Iida's leg and tries to fling him into the wall. However, Iida gets pulled back by Izuku's black whip grabbing onto him. Hawks. Heh, not a bad skill, kid. Izuku. Thanks, but I'm not done yet. Izuku launches a second black whip with his other arm and aims for Hawk's target. Unfortunately, Hawks uses his feathers as a blade and cuts off Izuku's attack. Izuku pulls back both his black whips and draws his blue sword. Iida. Midoriya-kun, how are we going to beat him? Izuku. I have an idea, but I'm going to need a clear shot at him. You think you guys can help me with that? Iida. We can. Everyone, make sure there aren't any feathers in Midoriya-kun's way. Dimaizu. Got it. Izuku. Alright, let's do this. Armament. Hardening. Izuku's arm and his sword gets coated in hockey. Izuku then holds his sword over his shoulder. Hawks proceeds to shoot feathers at them, but Dimaizu either blocks or deflects. Izuku. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Hawks. Izuku. Those 6 sense organs have senses of good, bad, and neutral. Hawks. This sounds like Buddhism. Izuku. Then, each of those 18 senses are classified into the purified and defiled state. 1 life, 36 desires. Hawks. A. Izuku. Hey Hawks, have you ever seen a flying slash attack? Hawks. Interesting, but I'm getting bored. Hawk sends a large barrage of feathers straight towards Izuku. Izuku. Itoryu. Izuku slashes forward with his sword and creates a giant air slice that cuts through all of Hawk's feathers and heads straight for him. Hawks creates a shield with his remaining feathers, but they get slashed through. The slashes finally reaches Hawks and slices his target in half. Izuku. 36, caliber Phoenix. The impact knocks Hawks against the wall and causes him to slide down. He reaches the bottom and looks up to see Izuku walking towards him while sheathing his swords. Izuku. So, how's it feel to have your wings clipped by a second-rate swordsman? Stop video. Hawks. Ha, since when has second-rate been so strong? I admit defeat. Dimaizu. Yay, we did it. Izuku. We still have to evacuate the hostages. Dimaizu. Ah. Nezu. Forgot about that part, didn't ya? Now then, to evacuate the hostages, you have to reach the safe point, which is the plateau at the top of this wall. Also remember you're being timed, so you better get climbing. Izuku. What if we fall off? Hawks. That's another reason why I'm here. If any of you guys fall off, then I'll catch you with my feathers. Izuku. I see. Well then, let's get climbing, guys. Sato-kun, Iida-kun, Shishida-san, Shiozaki-san, and I will carry the hostages on our backs. Is it alright if we can get some vines to tie them on, Shiozaki-san? Ibara. Be my guest. After a bit of preparation, they begin to climb the wall. After a minute of climbing, the team start to hear mechanical noise coming from above. Pony. What was that? Izuku. Do you even need to ask? Looking up, Dimaizu sees a bunch of spider-like robots crawling down towards them. Toru. Ah, bugs. Izuku. Yanagi-san, shoot the pellets at them. Ryuko. Alright, but this better do something. Ryuko uses her quirk to throw some of the pellets at the bots. Once the pellets make contact, they explode and knock the bots off the wall. Izuku. Special attack. Exploding star. Ryuko. Did you have to say the name? Izuku. Impulse. Now keep firing. Ryuko continues to the exploding stars until one of the falling bots hits Toru on her head. This causes her to lose her grip and fall. Toru. Aya. Jiro. Toru. Izuku jumps off the wall and takes out his slingshot. Izuku. Go on ahead, guys, we'll catch up soon. The others begrudgingly agree and resume climbing. Izuku then takes aim downwards. Toru. Midoriya. Izuku. Trust me on this Hagakure-sen special attack. Green Star Trampolia. Izuku launches a pellet that lands at the bottom and sprouts into a giant green bubble plant. Izuku uses Skywalk to reach Toru and grab her in his arms. He then flips so that his feet are facing the ground. They soon land on green bubble that begins bending inwards. Izuku. Hold on tight. Izuku and Toru spring up due to the plant's trampoline-like properties. Soon they make it to the top of the stone wall and begin descending on the plateau. Izuku. Are you alright, Hagakure-san? Toru. Yeah, I'm okay. What about you, Midoriya? Toru looks up to see Izuku's mouth and chin covered in blood from a nosebleed. Izuku. Straight face, I'm perfectly fine. Toru. You are clearly not fine. Izuku and Toru make their descent and land on the plateau. Izuku lets Toru down and starts wiping the blood off his face. Izuku. Forgive me, Hagakure-san. Sanji-san's training involved teaching me about women from his books of wisdom, so I'm a little cautious about touching females now. There's also the fact that you're dressed like that and that I can see your aura. Toru. My aura. Izuku. Don't worry about it. I see you're still full of youthful energy. Izuku and Toru turn to the direction of the face and are greeted by both Recovery Girl and Midnight. Izuku. Recovery Girl and Midnight Sensei. Midnight. Congrats on making it to the safe point. RGE. You can hand the hostages over to us. Izuku. Oh, okay. Izuku proceeds to untie the hostage on his back and hand it over to Midnight. RGE. It looks like the rest of your team isn't here yet. Izuku. Yeah, we kinda jumped ahead of them. Toru. We took the lead. Izuku. This isn't a race. Toru. Yet we reached the checkpoint before ahead of anyone else. Izuku. Fair enough. RGE. By the way, Midoriya boy. What happened to your nose? Izuku. The pressure got to me. RGE. I see. Midnight. So do I. Before things could get any more awkward, the rest of Team Aizu managed to make it to the safe point. Izuku. You guys made it. Toru. Took you guys long enough. Jiro. You would have had to start from the bottom if it wasn't for Midoriya. Toru. Fair enough. Izuku. Guys, could you hand over the hostages to Recovery Girl, we shouldn't be wasting time. Iida. He's right. We're on the clock so we shouldn't waste time on meaningless banter. Sato. Then shouldn't you stop bantering too? Iida. Ah. RG. Hurry up already. After handing over the hostages, a popping can be heard and confetti was sprayed all over them again. Nezu. Congrats, you evacuated all the hostages. That's 2 out of 3 steps. All that's left is the final step, defeat and capture all remaining villains. Izuku. Sounds like fun. How's this step work? Nezu. It's quite simple. In the area up ahead are 5 boss villains. Like hawks, these villains have a target placed on their bodies. All you have to do is break all the villains' targets and you win. Izuku. Anything else? Nezu. Oh yeah, these villains may or may not have henchmen with them. The henchmen will probably also wear targets. You can either knock them out or break their targets. And that's about it. Get going. Izuku. Let's go. Dimaizu. Yeah. Dimaizu start running in the direction of the exit. After a minute of running, something appears in the distance. Getting a closer look, it can be seen that it's an army people dressed in black with blasters on their arms. Sato. These guys. Izuku. They're from the provisional license exam. That means. It's as you think. The army makes a path for the source of the voice. Emerging from the army comes a towering figure whose appearance is reminiscent of that of an orca. Iida. Gang orca. Geo. Looks like you guys are ready for a brawl. If you want to fight me though, you're gonna have to go through my army here. Be warned though, there's about 1,000 of them. Toru. 1,000. Jiro. You can't be serious. Pony. How are we supposed to beat that many people? Hiroda. Sir Midoriya, please tell him you have a plan. Izuku doesn't answer and just walks towards the army with his hair shadowing his eyes. Iida. Midoriya-kun. Geo. Making a move are we? I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not gonna you a chance at it. Attack. About half the army charges forward and heads straight for Izuku with their blasters ready. Izuku stops just as they reach him and lifts his head up a bit. He then widens his eyes and a powerful shockwave flows over everyone. Iida. This pressure. Iida flashes back to the hero killer when he intimidated all of them to the point where they couldn't move. Iida. It's even more heavy. The shockwave eventually ends and the half of the army surrounding Izuku fell to the ground unconscious. Everyone, including Gang Orca, either couldn't move or was on their knees from the utter shock. Ryuko. What just happened? Hinoko. I can't stop shaking. Ibara. He just took out half the army. Sato. 500 people in a split second. Jiro. No way. Iida. This is another level of power. Other side of the wall. Haminari. You guys saw that too, right? Hiroshima. Yeah. Monoma. What the heck? Mineta. Oi, are we really sure that's still Midoriya? Bakugo Todoroki. Deku Midoriya, you've truly reached another league of power. Damn it. Nezu. Ku, how thrilling. Back to Izuku. Everyone was just staring at Izuku while he just stood there in silence. Izuku. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not the same person I was before. Izuku turns to stare at Gang Orca. Izuku. As the strategist of a man who can fell 50,000 people in an instant, this is the least I should be able to do. Any less would be a disgrace to my crew and my captain. Another smaller burst is felt after that which knocks everyone out of their trances. As some members from Team Izu and the enemy army get back on their feet, Gang Orca starts smiling and laughing. Go. Ha ha ha, such an impressive spirit from such a young hatchling. We won't be deterred though. Bring it on. Team Izu runs up to Izuku as the army gets ready to attack. Ida. Midoriya-kun, I have a lot of questions, but I can see that they're going to have to wait. What's our game plan? Izuku. I'm going straight for Gang Orca. This may be selfish to ask, but can you guys take care of the army? I'm sure you guys can handle it. Team Izu. Of course. Team Izu runs off in different directions as Izuku slowly walks in the direction of Gang Orca. A small group of henchmen walk towards Izuku to try and block his path. They proceed to shoot Izuku, but he simply dodges and keeps walking. He then fires up full cowl and proceeds to draw his blue sword. The army proceeds to run straight towards him to fire at close range. Izuku. You'll lose your head if you think this is an ordinary sword. Izuku suddenly disappears and reappears at the other side of the group, walking away from them while humming a certain tune. Izuku, yo-ha-ho-ho, yo-ha-ho-ho. Yo-ha-ho-ho, yo-ha-ho-ho, alright, I've already cut you all. The group turns around and charges straight at Izuku, who just begins sheathing his sword. Izuku. Song of Scratches, Blizzard Slice. Izuku finishes sheathing his sword and all the henchmen get their target sliced and get covered in ice. Izuku. The sword that ate the snow fruit, its freezing slash will freeze your soul. Toru. Cool. Izuku. Huh. Hagakure-san, what are you doing here? Toru. Well, since I'm not really the best at close quarters combat, I figured it'd be best to stick with someone strong. Izuku. I see. Izuku sees more reinforcements heading his way. Izuku. Stay close. Toru. Okay. Izuku points his left glove at the oncoming group and pulls back on the front part. Black pellets then come shooting out of the slits on his gloves and rain down on the henchmen, successfully destroying most of their targets. Izuku. Weapons left. Hatsum. It's here technology. Shinso. I can't hear. Izuku proceeds to unleash a barrage of kung fu kicks and punches on the enemy forces. He also starts using wrestling and grappling moves and also dislocates some of the enemy's joints by pulling them out their sockets. Izuku. Medical knowledge of the human anatomy combined with assassination, martial arts and grappling techniques makes for a dangerous combination, don't ya think? Toru. That seems kinda brutal though. Izuku. They'll be fine, they just have to pop their joints back into place. Go. Not bad, but you're barely making a dent in my numbers. Izuku. Is that so? Izuku proceeds to pull out 3 green rods and connects them into his staff. He then undoes his wolf tail and lets his hair down. Izuku. Head. Armament. Izuku proceeds to coat his hair with armament hockey. Izuku. Hagakure-san, I suggest you take cover. My accuracy with this technique isn't the best. Toru. Okay. Toru proceeds to hide behind Izuku's hair while Izuku stares at the sky. Izuku then launches what appears to be an egg from the staff into the sky. Izuku. Weather egg. Haminari. Is that an egg? Hatsum. It's probably science. Izuku. Looks like you're all in for some bad weather. Suddenly, the egg hatches and dark clouds pour out from it and cover the sky. Haminari. What the? Hatsum. I knew it's science. Shinso. Be quiet. Izuku covers his top half in hockey before bringing down his staff. This causes lightning to rain on the enemy forces surrounding Izuku. Izuku. Thunder breed tempo. After the lightning dies down, Izuku uncoats his top half and his hair. He looks around to see all the henchmen in the area lying on the ground unconscious. Izuku. I'm surprised I managed to avoid getting struck this time. Ah, Hagakure-san, you can come out now. Toru. What was that? It looked like you changed the weather. Izuku. I guess I kinda did. Toru. Are they gonna be alright though? Izuku. Yeah, they'll be fine. It wasn't anything lethal. Toru. The fact that you can say that getting struck by lightning isn't lethal is worrying. Izuku. I suppose it isn't a normal thing to say, is it? Toru. It really isn't. Go. Are you done yet? Izuku and Toru look to the side to Gang Orca standing there unamused. Izuku. Yeah, sorry to keep you waiting. Hagakure-san, stay here and take this to defend yourself. Just point it at someone if they come close. Izuku proceeds to give Toru one of his rods before walking towards Gang Orca. He begins picking up speed and activates full cowling before he lunges at Gang Orca with his arms coated and in a cross position. Izuku. Carolina Smash. Izuku attempts to cross-chop Gang Orca, but he manages to block with his arm brace. The impact, however, pushes Gang Orca back a few feet. Izuku takes this opportunity to activate Diable Jam and dashes towards Gang Orca. Izuku. Diable Jam. Izuku lunges with his leg aimed at Gang Orca. He then spins slightly mid-lunge and delivers a strong back kick that connects with his arm brace again. This somehow leaves grill marks on the brace and starts dehydrating Gang Orca before launching him again. Izuku. Genkyu'd. Grill shot. Go. This kid, he's trying to dry me out. Gang Orca manages to land on his feet but has to move to dodge a black fist coming straight at him. He looks to find the source of the fist but doesn't see Izuku anywhere. Izuku. Gomu Kenpo. Gang Orca looks down to see Izuku with his black arm outstretched and twisted. Izuku then proceeds to coat his black arm in hockey. Before he can do anything, Izuku slams his fist into Gang Orca's gut and starts unwinding his fist, which causes Gang Orca to rotate with it. Izuku. Crow Rifle. Gang Orca gets sent flying again and Izuku draws his swords with their braces on. He then jumps and tilts his upper body so the sword in his mouth is vertical. He then crosses his other blades over his mouth sword in an X shape. Izuku. Santoryu. Yoshigarasu. Izuku starts spinning and heads for Gang Orca, who had just landed. Gang Orca managed to grab onto the blades but let go when he felt his hands start freezing and kicks Izuku back. Go. Not a bad strategy if say so myself. Not giving me any room to breathe and trying to dehydrate and freeze me. However. Gang Orca appears in front of Izuku and blasts him with an ultrasonic wave that causes Izuku to fall to his knees. Go. Coming at me alone and only working on the offensive is a fatal mistake. Izuku grits his teeth as he tries to stand up. Gang Orca sees this and blasts Izuku with another wave. Go. Impressive, you managed to withstand it. I'll have to up the ante. Gang Orca proceeds to blast Izuku with consecutive waves. Izuku is unable to do anything and just keeps trying to remain conscious. This goes on until Gang Orca gets blasted in the face and sent flying by one of Izuku's rods that's levitating in the air. Toru. Don't forget about me. Go. The invisible girl, huh? Toru. Midoriya, you alright? Toru turns around to see Izuku with both his legs ignited and in his stance. Izuku. Thank you, Hagakure-san. I'll make sure not to waste the opening you've given me. Izuku jumps forward into the air in Gang Orca's direction and starts spinning with his leg outstretched. Before Gang Orca can react, Izuku slams his heel on his head. Izuku. Concasse. This attack cracks the ground around both of them and causes Gang Orca to cough up some blood. Izuku then uses both his legs to kick rapidly into Gang Orca's stomach. Izuku. Premier Hatches. Izuku finishes the barrage with a kick to the face that sends Gang Orca flying in the air. Izuku. Jiao Shoot. Izuku then uses Skywalk to follow Gang Orca into the air. Izuku. Remember the training Sanji-san put you through. Running underwater with weights, kicking steel walls until your feet bled, all those magazines. Izuku gives off a yell before seemingly igniting his whole body. Izuku. Those memories are burned into my soul. Everyone. He's fired up. Izuku reaches Gang Orca and delivers a blazing kick straight to his gut. Izuku. Hell memories. Props to you if you know where that combo is from. This sends Gang Orca flying through the air. He crashes through 3 stone pillars before getting stuck in a crater in the 4th. He falls out of the crater and lands face first on the ground. Izuku lands next to him as Toru runs to catch up to him. Izuku. I know you're not down for the count. Gang Orca sits up and wipes a bit of blood from his mouth. Go. Of course I'm not. Pros shouldn't go down that easily. I'm just lucky the steel plate I'm wearing absorbed most of the impacts. Although it didn't help with that kick to the head. Izuku. Sorry about that. I just needed to make sure you couldn't stop me from attacking. Anyways, crashing through all those pillars destroyed the target on your back, right? Go. So you knew where I was hiding my target. You've got sharp eyes, kid. Izuku. I trained them to be sharp. Go. Heh, you passed. Iida. Midoriya-kun. Midoriya turns around to see Iida and the rest of the team running up to him. Izuku. Guys, you got here just in time. Hagakure-san and I just cleared the first boss. Iida. Incredible job, Midoriya-san, Hagakure-san. Go. Don't get cocky now. You've still got 4 more bosses to fight. I suggest you get going. Your next boss is in that direction. Izuku. Thank you, Gang Orca. Let's move. The group runs to the location Gang Orca pointed to at full speed. While running, Izuku closes his eyes and uses observation haki to scan the area ahead. Iida. Midoriya-kun. Izuku. We can't afford another surprise attack, so I'll scout the area. After running for a while, Izuku can see a large blue aura hiding behind a giant pillar. Izuku. That's huge. If that's a hero, then it can only be. Izuku is cut off when he sees the aura jump into the sky above them. Izuku. It's coming from above, look out. The team look up to see a giant purple heel about to land on them. They manage to get out of the way just in time and get a clear look at the attacker. The skin-tight suit and horn mask made it obvious who it was. Izuku. Mount Lady. Montana. Hey, they're heroes. Mineta. Evil has descended. Zero. You're still traumatized, huh? Izuku. I'm assuming you're the next boss. Am I right? Montana. Yep. Let's make this quick, shall we? Izuku. I was just about to suggest that. Izuku jumps and heads straight for Mount Lady, with his arm cocked back for an attack. Izuku is about to strike until he notices a giant black fist coming from the side. He immediately turns and uses Haki to guard. The fist knocks him straight to the ground and he creates a crater as he lands. Iida. Midoriya-kun. Izuku. I'm fine. Hirota. Looks like more 0-pointers. Pony. Just our luck. Montana. Same deal as the last boss, beat them and you can fight me. Jiro. This is getting annoying. Izuku runs out of the crater while drawing his blue sword and coating it with Haki. He runs towards one of the 0-pointers and thrusts upwards. This creates a highly compressed blast of air that pierces the robots and freezes the robot's arm a bit. Izuku. Obeyed Kudroit. Izuku then runs closer to the bot and heads for its treads. He moves to the side of the tread and faces it. He then takes one of his rods and sticks in one of the slits on his gloves. He points at the bot's treads as the rod seems to take in air and expand itself along with his glove. Izuku then fires an extremely large blast of compressed air that knocks the robot off its feet. Izuku. Coup event. Hatsum. Science. Izawa. Silence. Izuku. Sato-kun, Shishida-san. Sato and Jirota. We're on it. Sato and Jirota jump onto the fallen robot's head and start punching it rapidly. The two then jump off and Izuku delivers a devastating axe kick that destroys the robot's head completely. Izuku. Manchester Smash. Izuku jumps off the robot's head and looks up to see the other robot's fist coming straight at him. He manages to coat his arms and catch the robot's fist in time. Izuku struggles under the pressure of the robot's fist. Izuku grits his teeth before breathing out calmly. Izuku. Itchy gorilla. Izuku flexes his right bicep to an absurd extent. He then proceeds to do the same with his left bicep. Izuku. Nai gorilla. Satsuna. Dear God. Izuku lets out a large yell before pushing the robot's fist off of him. He then draws all three of his swords and starts running towards Iida. Izuku. Iida-kun, launch me. Iida. Alright. Izuku jumps in the air and uses Skywalk to hover in the air. Iida then jumps in the and fires up his engines. Iida. Recipro burst. Iida starts spinning in the air while holding his leg out. His leg eventually connects with Izuku's feet and launches him towards the 0-pointer. While flying, Izuku coats and positions his swords in front of him at an angle. Izuku. The 9 mountains and 8 seas constitute one world. 1,000 of them form a small chiliocosm. And when I gather and cube that chiliocosm, there's nothing I can't cut. Santoryu Ogi. Izuku begins spinning his blades and reaches the middle of the robot. Izuku. Ichidai Sanzen Daisen Sekai. Izuku flies straight through the middle of the robot, cutting it in half and sending its top half flying upwards. Everyone. Incredible. Izuku lands on the ground and stops flexing. He then sheathes his swords as the others join him. Izuku. We can fight now, right? Montana. Sure. I hope you guys put up a good fight. Mount Lady punches at the group, but her punch gets deflected by Iida, Sato, and Jirota. She pulls back her arm and is about to try again until she sees a black ball coming right at her. The ball explodes into a giant smoke cloud right in her face. Izuku. Guys, I've got a plan. Follow my lead. Mount Lady wipes the smoke out her face and looks down on the group. She sees Izuku jumping at her and smirks before throwing another punch. Montana. Leaping headfirst is a big mistake. Her fist makes contact with Izuku, but instead of getting knocked back down, Izuku seems to fade into the air. Montana. What? Mount Lady stands back up straight before feeling something wrap around her shoulders. Izuku. You shouldn't trust what you see. You never know if it's real or a mirage. Mount Lady looks over her shoulder to see Izuku using Black Whip to restrain her. Izuku. Now guys. Izuku starts pulling Mount Lady from behind as the other boys attack her heels. This causes her to lose her footing and start falling backwards. Izuku. Shiozaki-san, Yanagi-san. Ryuko and Ibara. We're on it. Ibara and Ryuko start using Ibara's vines to tie up Mount Lady while she's falling. She finally finishes falling as the two finish tying her up. Izuku. Your bigger size may make you more powerful, but it puts you at a big disadvantage. Montana. You little squirts don't get cocky. Montana starts squirming and the vines begin to tear a bit. Ibara. She's too strong. Izuku. Looks like we need to calm her down a bit. Izuku reaches into his bag and manages to pull out a violin. Jiro. A violin. Izuku. Correct. Izuku proceeds to draw and hold his snow sword over the strings. Izuku. I suggest you all cover your ears. That includes those who are listening on the other side of the wall. Izuku begins playing a lullaby on his violin. This puts Montana. L as well as Monoma, who didn't listen to sleep. Izuku. Namuryu to flank. Jiro. She fell asleep. Pony. That's so cool. Izuku. Thanks. Now then, I'll search for her target. Izuku walks up to Montana. L and uses observation hockey to scan for her target. Izuku. It's under her chin. Ibara. Got it. Ibara uses her vines to grab and crush the target. Izuku. 2 down, 3 to go. Good work Shiozaki-san. Ibara. It was no problem, but I may need some assistance now. She's lying on top of my vines and I can't pull them free. Izuku. Allow me to help. Izuku uses his sword to cut her vines. Ibara. Thank you. Now then. Izuku creates a snow wall with his sword to block several branches from attacking them. Izuku. It appears the next boss is here. Isn't that right, Kamui Woods? Kamui. So you picked up on my presence. Impressive. Sato. Another top hero. Pinoko. They're really pulling out all the stops. Kamui. I'm sure you're already of the objective so let's not waste any time. As you can see, my target is on my shoulder. Destroy it if you can. Izuku. Oh, we plan to. Kamui Woods launches several branches at Izuku who counters them with several flying thrusts. Kamui. Lacquered chains prison. Izuku. Polka eyes. Out of the corner of his eye, Kamui notices Iida running at him. Before Iida can attack, Kamui traps him with his branches and swings so that he hits an approaching Sato and Jiroda. Kamui. Sneak attacks won't have any effect on me. Right after he says this, something appears to cover his vision. Kamui. What is this? Kamui plucks something off his mask, holds it in front of his face. Kamui. A mushroom. His vision gets blocked again by more mushrooms growing on his mask. Pinoko. Dodging is a lot harder when you're unable to see, and since you're wearing a full face mask, I can block your vision without damaging your eyes. Kamui. A wise tactic indeed. Kamui then hears something break. He pulls of the mushrooms to see his target pierced by a floating horn. Toru. Gotcha. Pony. We did it. Kamui. I lost already. Izuku. Sorry but we take the quickest route to victory. Kamui. Sigh I see you pass. The next target is that way. Izuku. I kinda feel bad now thanks. Let's go. The group run off once more to the destination Kamui Woods pointed to. After running for a while, they come across 2 pillars. Between the 2 pillars is a target being suspended in the air by a bunch of strings. Sato. A target. Jiroda. It's just here by itself. Ryuko. This is obviously a trap. Ibara. There doesn't appear to be anyone in the immediate area. Izuku. We shouldn't approach it directly. Tsunatori-san, can you use your horns to break it? Pony. Sure thing. Pony gets into position to fire her horns while Izuku uses observation hockey again. While using it, he sees the strings as light blue auras. He can see that they reach up to the top and are moving. Izuku. Get back. Izuku uses Black Whip to pull Pony back in time before the strings attack where she was standing. Iida. What on earth? Izuku. Guys, back away from the pillars now. Himaizu does jumps back and gets on their guard. Izuku. Show yourself. Quite impatient, aren't you? The strings begin detaching from the pillar and join together to form a human figure. The figure in question is wearing a mouth mask, a scarf, has a rather unique hairstyle, and is dressed in ninja clothing. Izuku. Headshot. Headshot. Let's get this over with. I'm tired of waiting here for so long. Izuku uses 50% full cowl and Iida uses Recipro Turbo to rush at Headshot. They instantly appear on both sides of him with a punch and a kick ready. Headshot however, catches Iida's leg and Izuku's fist with ease. Headshot. Too slow. Headshot throws them both at the stone pillars behind him. He then appears right at Jiroda and stretches his arm as a string through his body. This causes Jiroda to pass out. Headshot. Ninja art. 1000 sheet pierce. Ibara. Shishida. Headshot. He's just unconscious. Those with the most power should be taken out first. He then proceeds to stretch his fingers and do the same to Toru, Sato, Pony, and Kanoko. Headshot. The same applies to those with troublesome abilities. Hero. Guys. Headshot turns around to backhand deflect a black fist heading towards him. Headshot. Let me make something clear to you. Izuku dashes so that he's right in front of Headshot. Before he can punch him, Headshot disappears and appears right behind him. Headshot. Hawks was going easy on you. Headshot tries to pierce him, but Izuku uses Haki to stop his attack from piercing. The force knocks Izuku back a bit. Headshot. My speed is comparable to his. If he wanted to dodge your attacks, you wouldn't even have been able to touch him. Headshot turns around and sends his leg through Iida, who was trying to sneak up on him. This causes Iida to pass out as well. Izuku. Iida-kun. Ichako. They're getting completely wiped out. Nezu. Don't be so surprised, this is how pros fight when they're serious. They're a force to be reckoned with. Izuku. Gomu Kenpo. Crow pistol. Izuku shoots out a coated fist and aims at Headshot's target on his waist. Izuku's eyes widen when it gets blocked halfway by Headshot's own fist that he launches by stretching his arm. Headshot. You will eventually come across villains who can adapt to mimic your fighting style. You must learn how to deal with people like that. Headshot stretches his leg and slams it into Izuku's side like a whip. Izuku manages to recover from this and sends his two black arms back behind him with their palms open. He coats them in Haki while running towards Headshot. Izuku. Raven Bazooka. Izuku brings his arms back at an incredible speed, but Izuku doesn't feel anything. He looks to see Headshot's torso stretched upwards until it's nothing but a string between Izuku's arms. Izuku looks up to see Headshot's arms and head looking down at him from the top of the string. Headshot. I can transform at the speed of sound. If you can't match that speed, then you have no chance of beating me. Headshot kicks Izuku up with his legs and slams him back down using his arms. Izuku lands in a crater while Headshot stretches back to normal. Hiro, Ryuko and Ibara. Midoriya-kun. Headshot. Stay down. You've lost. Headshot turns around and begins walking to the remaining members only to stop when he hears Izuku getting up behind him. Izuku. Ouch, that really hurt you know. But, I've had heavier hits. Headshot. Oh, you're still conscious. So you still wish to fight then? You won't be able to beat me at the rate you're going though. Izuku dusts himself off before removing and tossing his gloves aside. He then deactivates full cowling. Izuku. You're right. I've got to kick things up a notch. Headshot. Kick things up a notch. Izuku. While on my journey, my captain taught me that you will come across opponents more powerful than the last. I experienced this myself when I fought alongside the crew. I fought against people who were beyond my level in terms of both skill and power. I kept fighting though. Because I knew that if I couldn't beat people like that, then I couldn't protect anyone. I felt that if I didn't get stronger, I couldn't call myself a member of that crew. Headshot. So you got stronger then? Izuku. I took my captain's advice. Red veins begin appearing all over Izuku's body again and vanish, but he doesn't emit an electric charge this time. Izuku. I thought of a new way to fight. Izuku's body begins to bulk up and his hair seems to glow a lighter shade of green. Izuku. So that I can protect everyone. The green-tinted Haki covers Izuku's arms and ends a bit over his shoulders in a flame pattern. His Haki forms rib-like markings on his torso and coats his legs. His Haki then forms an X over his chest and goes over his eye by covering his scar. Headshot. What is this? Izuku. This is my. Izuku spreads his legs, puts one hand over his knee and the other on the floor in a fist. Izuku. Second gear. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.